Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Madmen with the Box. Today, joining me, as almost always, is Landry Q. Walker. Below, you can see Javain.
Hello, hello, hello.
And that's it. That's all of us.
That is all of us. Joe of the Corrales did not make it today. But that's fine. That's fine. I absolutely understand. We have some news to discuss. Before we get into our topic, we are picking the best stories for each doctor and seeing what our lineup is at the end. So let's get into some news, though. There's two pieces of kind of exciting news. The collection has been announced. The next collection, season 25 of Sylvester McCoy, is coming.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure that that Chris, if he was here, was saying that he's already pre-ordered it, but he is not here. The next piece of news, it's conflicting. Once in Future, which was a story that Big Finish did to celebrate 60 years of Doctor Who, had a story called Coda, the final act, and it is finally going to be released, and we understand why they held off on saying anything about it for so long now. It's going to be starring Joe Martin and Jonathan Carly, as the War Doctor, yes. But it's going to have Joe Martin in there, and they're going to be facing off against each other. They go ahead and describe it as the story of Once in Future is done. This is just a final chapter bit, an epilogue, if you will. It's like the story wasn't that good. So it's a little hard to be excited about this, but I am excited to see what Joe Martin can do with Big Finish. 50% is in the audience. You caught up with all the reviews. Thank you. Yes, we are exhausted. I'm just wondering how Queen Elizabeth ties into all this, but we'll have to wait and see. And the last bit that I have is actually a bit of show and tell. Wonder if I can make myself. Hello. So I put it in order. Finally, I have the 3 specials in Target Novelizations.
Nice.
And the giggle. I'm very excited to be digging.
I love that those books look. They just take me right back to my childhood when I see the format.
Perfect, aren't they? And
I love that they brought the old logo style back. I love that.
I'm also glad that the ones that they're doing for 15 have this look as well. I'm very excited. And then my exciting delivery came today. And it is the 14th Doctor Sonic Screwdriver. Gold.
Nice.
So there is a little problem with mine, though, because it's not going to show. So I was having some problems with the button earlier. It would go ahead and get stuck, and whenever I brought it down, it would stay on. And so I would have to lift it again, press, and then get it to the right spot. But right now, it actually wants to behave because it's on camera. Oh, there it is. See, not pressing. That can be annoying. Come on. Nope. Okay. So these are side by side. And who is that? Jimmy of the Q Walkers. No, Jimmy of the Q Walkers.
He's allowed. He can come into the Q Walker clan.
I am a disciple of the Q Walker.
Howdy, Jimmy. Welcome to the show.
Are you here? Are you really here, Jimmy? Is this real?
Dude, okay. So
think it's
I wanted to be here the last like 3 weeks, but I kept getting called into work or something.
Oh, I get that. I've been wondering, is there a schedule that's better for you, Jimmy? Because I can just put it out there. Like, this schedule's totally arbitrary for me. Like, there's times and days that are better for people. I can try to flex, but that's a conversation not online.
No, Wednesdays are good for me. It's just I've just been busy.
Sure, I don't blame you.
Yes. And plus, the reason why Wednesday is so perfect is for Chris, really.
I love how much Jimmy and I will argue about the topic tonight. This is going to be great.
What is it?
So the topic today is each doctor's best story, basically. So we're going to be deciding for each one, 1 through 15. The only ones not really included are the War Doctor, because he only has one real story, and then the Fugitive Doctor, because she hasn't had her own story really set other than Fugitive of the Jejune. That means
actually, to be fair, her best one was in Flux. Remember when she wasn't there, and then, but she was, right? She wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd still say her performance in Fugitive is actually a little bit better. Like dealing with the time was, but that's a topic for another day. So we're going to go through each doctor, and we're going to say each of what our favorite story is, starting all the way at 1. And Gervain, who prepared his list hours ago.
I forgot what the topic was.
Well, it's not your fault because I was making my list right when I was finishing it up right when you came in. So
I'm writing mine right now.
I know. So Gervain.
Yes, sir.
Number 1.
All right.
William Hartnell. What's his best story for you?
So for me, for my list, I did Pixel and I talked about this a little beforehand. I went more. I didn't necessarily take into account the importance of the story, but more the ones that kind of hit me. And I think when it comes to more modern Who, it'll be stuff that it'll be more related to how I related to Who with my family. But for me, for the first Doctor, is the Aztecs. That's the one that I like. I like the Aztecs because I think in regards to, at least in part, why the show was created, which was supposed to be like sort of a educational program, but like kind of adventure show. I think Aztecs was like, for me, that was the best example of that. And I just thought it had a lot of little bits into it. The fact that Barbara gets caught up in playing a goddess and being a history buff herself, she tries to change the civilization that shouldn't really be changed. The Doctor's little romance with the village woman and that kind of stuff. Even if I remember correctly, Ian had to play that role of kind of being the action man of the group. I think it had a lot of what Doctor Who was supposed to be out in the beginning, and it did it well. And Planet of the Daleks was close for me, but I actually realized for me, I think I like the Cushing version of it better. And I know that might be blasphemy in some circles, but for me, Aztecs was it. If I had to take one first Doctor one, it would be Aztecs.
Yeah, that's fair. Landry, do you have your choice for the first one?
I just finished my entire list. So, first Doctor, Keys of Marinus. Really hit me off guard. I think we reviewed it a couple of years ago now, whatever it was. And I hadn't seen it, and I sat down and watched it that afternoon. And I think I said at the time that I was just caught off guard by the quality of that. It's easy sometimes with these older episodes to lose track of how good they can be, especially first and second Doctor era. There's a lot actually I haven't seen. I haven't seen Aztec. At the Aztecs, by the way. There's a lot of the first Doctor I have not seen. To be honest, I'm in this weird space with it where when I got into Doctor Who, when I was a kid, access to this stuff was extremely limited, and first, second, even third Doctor stuff was basically considered gone to a degree. And as an adult, when I got back into Doctor Who as a more hardcore fan, I kind of went into the space of like, but if I don't watch it, I always have it to watch for the first time still. I just haven't done it yet. And I know I should get to that, but I'm excited to have this vast library of classic Doctor Who I haven't seen yet. There are a lot I haven't seen.
Okay.
So it's a little limited for me to say this, but when we watch Keys of Marinus, I mean, the episodic nature of that one, how everyone's going, having these little, it felt very modern. What they managed to do, just the whole concept of it really worked for me in a way where I felt, say, the first Dalek appearance, as an example, meandered. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
Okay. I'll go ahead and mine before we go to Jimmy, just to make sure.
Yeah, I'm still kind of thinking.
Okay, it's okay. That's why I'm going before. So mine is actually The Chase. It's a Dalek story. They're chasing the Doctor, Ian, Barbara, and Vicky.
I don't think it's Vicky.
Well, it's not Vicky. It's not the second Doctor's.
Dodo. It's not Dodo.
No. Oh my.
Susan.
No, Susan's gone at that point. This is after the Dalek.
Geraldine.
Huh?
Christina. Beatrice.
No. You're just saying names now.
British names. So he's getting close.
Anyway, doesn't matter. They're being chased. The TARDIS crew is being chased by the Daleks through time. They have the mechanoids there. It's very exciting. It honestly, watching it, it was some of the most fun. I mean, you know, the gunfighters was a choice, but this is better. No, it wasn't. This is leagues better. This is one of my favorite stories. I could have gone the Daleks. I could have gone Daleks Invasion of Earth.
Yeah, okay.
Mostly Daleks. It's mostly Daleks that they're just go ahead and try. But no, the Romans is also another really good story as an option. But the Chase is the one that came straight to mind because it's some of the most exciting for the first Doctor's era. Jimmy.
Oh boy. I haven't seen all of the first Doctor, so I can't really be knowledgeable about him. Am I cutting in and out? Because I keep seeing lag.
No, you sound good.
Okay. You sound fine.
So, I mean, the ones that I like from him are Dalek Invasion of London. You know, surprisingly, I kind of like the ending of the Daleks, you know, like near the end of that. Not the beginning. The beginning was a little bit more like run-of-the-mill sci-fi, but the ending it was fun. Oh man, I haven't watched a lot of him. I'm just gonna go Dalek Invasion of London because like it's so good. It's so iconic. It's so iconic to the point where we see it twice after, like the same style-ish, kind of like homaging it. You know, when Tom Baker goes like, "If we leave now, this is the future." And then recently with Shooty, he did that again with the Jinx Monsoon episode, whatever that was called. He does it again, but it's like the same homage when he arrives. It's like London's destroyed in that exact same angle, frame, and like, you know, as the Invasion of London. I got to give it to that. But also because it's like they gave us post-apocalyptic sci-fi timey-wimey, you know? And it's like interesting because we always get like post-apocalyptic stuff, but we never see like we can fix it and we do. No, it's always like, the Book of Eli, everyone's dead and people are fighting over books, like, you know what I mean? But so I gotta give it to that.
Okay. Javane, number 2.
All right, for second Doctor for me, it's Tomb of the Cybermen. That's the one that I like. I like stories where there's like a bunch of characters where you know by the fact that there's like 10 of them, a bunch of people that get killed off. So there's a lot of
kiss you.
There you go. It's a lot of murder and mayhem. I think this is the first time the cyber rats show up. I believe
Cyber Mats.
Cyber Mats. Thank you. The Cyber Mats, and they're creepy as you know what. And Second Doctor, he's one of my top. He's of my top 3 doctors. My 3 are 2, 7, and 10. But as I think, along with Jamie, and I forget who the is it Zoe was the female companion, or am I thinking
Victoria?
Yeah,
Victoria's second serial in that one.
Yeah. So
first time we find out the Doctor's age too, isn't it?
But it's a good like Indiana Jones kind of style Doctor Who thing where it's just like there's just enough sci-fi, there's just enough adventure, there's just enough of people, greedy people walking into a situation they have nothing, they know nothing about, getting in over their heads. It kind of reminds me of like sort of like Aliens. That's what I kind of like about it. They're going after sort of a technology, if you will, like it did in Aliens they didn't know anything about. And it's like, 10 go in and basically 3 come out. So yeah, I had 2 minutes Cybermen for me if I had to pick one. I would say War Games, but I haven't seen War Games actually.
Oh, it's so good. You gotta watch it.
I've not seen War Games. So actually with this assignment, I have to go back to BritBox because I don't know if BritBox has War Games.
It does.
It does, and that's what I'll start watching tonight. So I'll say Tomb of the Cybermen as an asterisk. If I watch War Games next time I come on, I'll say I have to replace this one.
Well, hey, prepare yourself because War Games is 10 episodes.
I know. If I'm done by next Wednesday.
Landry of the Q Walkers.
It's funny because I waffled between 3 choices on this, and like the first Doctor, I haven't seen all the Second Doctor episodes, so I've seen a lot more of them than I have of the first Doctor. I love Troughton. He's possibly I waffle between him and Capaldi for my favorite Doctor. So I had 3 contenders here. I settled on Mind Robber. It's so weird and so surreal and cerebral. And you get Zoe, in a cat suit on the TARDIS console floating through nothingness. That's pretty good. The Master of Fiction, the Carcass, all these things, like the way they had to recast Jamie mid arc and then recast him back because of the actor being sick, but they explain it by his face being reassembled in a puzzle. I mean, it's so strange.
Wait, he was sick and that's why they did it?
Yeah. That's why they had to go.
I didn't know that. That's so cool.
That's the brilliance of Doctor Who, though, right? The original actor for the Doctor is ailing. They have to replace him. Let's think outside of the box and come up with a story reason rather than just recast. They made it work. They used the same principle with Jamie that they actually that they had done with the first Doctor. Is come up with a story reason for it. So yeah, the Doctor couldn't get the pieces quite right, so he put Jamie's face back together wrong, hence he looks different for a while.
This is his nose. This is his mouth. Oh no, those eyes are all wrong.
Exactly. But I'll tell you, it was a real tough call between this War Games and Tomb of the Cybermen. Tomb of the Cybermen is a precursor to what we see Doctor Who do best, like during the 4th Doctor and the 10th Doctor eras, which is basic horror repurposed in science fiction. It's a mummy episode. They go into the tomb, and it's you even have like the explorers, the expedition, the hired help. All of it is just very classic, like 40s horror.
That's a good way to put it. Yep.
And War Games, of course, set the bar with so much that we know of now and was interesting. But it's got to be Mind Robber for me for its just strangeness.
So I was torn between 2 choices. The first one, which I didn't choose, was Enemy of the World. I love Enemy of the World. You get to see Patrick Troughton not only as the Doctor, but as Salamander, and then the Doctor has to act like Salamander. It's great. It's fantastic. There doesn't need to be a reason why it's a doppelganger. It's just fine, and the story itself is very intriguing. So the performances and all that, it was really close she's winning, but it's War Games. It's War Games. It's one of the best stories in Doctor Who, period. I mean, Patrick Troughton, all the way to that ending, changes everything. The show itself goes ahead and has another just wave of creativity that'll change it for all time. And I had to choose War Games. Jimmy.
This is like asking which child is my favorite.
Who's your favorite child right now, Jimmy?
Because obviously my favorite is Tomb of the Cybermen. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that in all of Doctor Who. And it came out in 1965. I think that's the year. No, it was 1966. Either way, it doesn't get much better than that in general. Not even Doctor Who, sci-fi. It doesn't get much better than that. But the question is, what is the best Doctor episode?
Each Doctor's best story, basically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about which one is the Doctor the best of that the Doctor can be. Which one do you think is just the best episode?
It's so weird because I'm kind of on an Invasion kick right now because I got BritBox back up running again, so I started watching it.
Another very good one.
Invasion's so good. All right, whatever. I'll just stick with Tomb of the Cybermen. It's like the most bland answer, but it's the right one.
That was my answer too. 1967, by the way, end of 67. September.
Yeah, okay. I was off by 1 year.
September 2nd. I
was off by 1 year, whatever. But so a toss up for me. It was a toss up, I guess, for my favorites. My favorite's always going to be Tomb of the Cybermen, but Mind Robber is so close because I like the Master of Games. It's like the Riddler, but on a cosmic scale, and like that scene with a bunch of kids coming and asking him a bunch of riddles, and if he gets it wrong, he could die. But it was oh man, that's so good. I'll give it to Cybermen though.
Okay. Javane.
Yes, sir.
We're on 3 now.
All right.
Real quick. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
You also got to give the Highlands that you got to give it some love because it gets overshadowed a lot. It's fun. Also, peak Jamie. All right, go to Javane.
All right, no problem. Third Doctor, for me, it was a toss-up between Spearhead and Space. I believe that's the title was when the Third Doctor's first introduced. Yeah. I thought it was a great way to introduce, even though I'm not a Third Doctor fan, it was a great way to introduce him, the new status quo, and a lot of good characters there. But honestly, because I am a parallel universe sucker, it was Inferno for me. It was just, I love parallel universes. I've always loved parallel universes since Star Trek in the Mirror Universe. And I forget the name of the companion because she was the one in the original. So you guys can help me out with that he first has before Joe comes along. I think
Joe.
It's a blonde lady, another blonde lady.
I know, I can picture her.
Perry?
No,
Perry's red.
It's the one even before Joe, right?
Yeah, she's like she's the scientific.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. So I think she ends up, she comes back after she's been replaced by Joe, I believe it was, but she's like this evil version of the assistant. So that's why I like that. I just like the whole parallel universe bit and the Doctor having to navigate through that. I think there's also kind of the almost apocalyptic nature of it, what he's kind of working against. But yeah, for me, Inferno was, that's one I couldn't live without for the Third Doctor.
Landry.
Okay, this was a really easy one for me. I'm wondering if Jimmy can guess my favorite Third Doctor episode if he dredges into his memory.
I know what it is. Because it's also my favorite if I'm thinking the same thing.
It's going to be Time Warrior.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say too.
It is so good. It is so very good. It's so simple and effective. It introduces the Sontarans. It introduces Sarah Jane. It's a medieval war story with a siege and with this like space soldier behind it all. It's a very basic Doctor Who story, just by the numbers, and it gets the job done while being grotesquely entertaining and introducing a villain that became so iconic. It might be my favorite Sontaran episode as well. It's just so very good. That's all. I won't even compare it to another one. I mean, I love Spearhead, but oof.
Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
It's not better. It's not better than it. I'm sorry. It's not. There's nothing better than it. No other Sontaran episode compares.
Yeah, it's so good. And I know you know your Sontarans.
So for me, the third Doctor is pretty much my favorite classic Doctor. It's between him and 6. The thing is, I worked really hard to try to figure out which one I want to go ahead and say, because there's so many great ones. I thought about saying Curse of Peladon. That's a fantastic episode, but
that's a great one.
World building is not the one I'm choosing. The one I'm choosing is actually the anniversary special. I'm choosing the 3 Doctors.
Really?
What? I'm sorry. Omega. Omega is such an intriguing villain. The antimatter universe coming to just destroy everything, and the Time Lord's desperation that they have to use the person that they like the least. 3 of them. It's great. I love the 3 Doctors. I love the 3rd Doctor in general. But if I have one story that I have to go ahead and say, this is it. This is the one I'm going to keep. It's the 3 Doctors.
Okay. So I was not a big Pertwee fan. Not at all. And Landry and I have had a lot of conversations behind the scenes about just everything. And this came up to where he was talking about Pertwee being one of his favorites. And I said I wasn't a fan. Like, I watched this first episode and I was just like, nope, no, not me, not for me. A doctor just stranded on Earth, I'm okay. The Doctor being like James Bond, I'm okay. I don't want that. We have James Bond. And then he goes, watch Time Warrior. I promise you, you'll like it. I promise you, you'll probably end up liking John Pertwee. Gosh darn it, Landry Q. Walker. Who would have guessed him being right? Because he was so right. The Time Warrior is so good, not only because it's not just about the Sontarans. It's also an allegory for war.
Yeah.
People just go to war for uncommon reasons, for no reason at all at some points. And that's why we had the stark contrast between the old barbarians and the futuristic barbarians. Sontarans, they're not just warriors, they're just barbarians from the future. That's what they are. So when they both met and they started working together, that's what intrigued me. And also, come on, I mean, Sarah Jane. Top 3, top 4 companion of all time. Can we agree on that?
Oh, easily.
Okay, easily. But this one really was like John Pertwee. It was kind of weird because John Pertwee was good, but he wasn't kind of the main focus of the story. He was kind of like he was like the third person in the background, you know? And it was really good. I ended up, because of that episode, watching more. I'm forgetting. What's the Auton? Is it just called the Autons?
There is an episode just called the Autons, yeah.
Yeah, that one is...
Or they introduced the Master.
Yeah. That's the episode where... that's another episode where I went, okay, you know what? I like John Pertwee. I watched more. I still haven't watched all of him because there's, to be honest, there's just so much 70s in it. I'm not a huge 70s film guy.
It took me years to warm to any of the Pertwee stuff, to be clear. And it was probably Time Warrior is what put me over the edge, and then I started seeing the value in it. But it was a hard road for me with Pertwee.
Yeah, Pertwee has to grow on you, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just also don't like the style of 70s. The 70s, anytime there's like a movie from the 70s, I just go, you know what? I'm okay.
Let me just say, you don't know. You didn't live through it. It sucked.
Yep.
It sucked. It's not just you just have to watch it in occasional TV shows. Imagine walking around in that.
Yep.
It was terrible.
Yeah, that would suck. But so I got to give it. Time Warrior really is good because it got me into John Pertwee, thankfully because of Landry. So that's my choice.
That's fair. That's fair. Not completely though, because I love I loved him from the start. Whenever because when I first watched it all the way through, it was on that Twitch live stream. Finished with 1, finished with 2. I was like, okay, we're going into color. Let's see what we can do. And his performance is what wins me. I can get a terrible Third Doctor story and still enjoy the Doctor in it, just with his little bit of presence there. That was also ultimately my the reason why I couldn't choose the Curse of Peladon was the fact that he was also the third man in the background that is just there. Rather than the driving force. At least it felt like. Gervain.
Yes, sir.
Fourth Doctor.
All right, so this is gonna be my weakest selection here because I'm not a Fourth Doctor fan. I know I'm about to get some knives in the back for that one, but it's definitely not Shada. Did not like Shada at all. It's one of the few ones that I own and I regret buying it. If I had to pick one of them, I have to. This, as I told Pixel before we started, this might be a cheat. I'm going with the whole of season 16, The Key of Time. I like the long story arc. I like all the episodes in it, but I like the underlining story running through it, and probably the stakes, the quest, so on and so forth. If I had to pick one, it would actually be, I believe it was the last episode of the season before that, Invasion of Time, which I enjoyed a lot. But for me, the Fourth Doctor, he never really grabbed me. So if I had to go with one, I would just have to go with the Key.
You're not a Fourth Doctor fan?
I'm not a Fourth Doctor fan. I mean, I understand it. I get it, but he just doesn't. Like, I like K9. I like Sarah. I like the companions, the group. I'm just not a big fan of Baker. I'm just not.
All right, yeah. So do you just like do you like being wrong?
I only enjoy being wrong because it makes for entertaining debates and conversations with the likes of you, Jim. And that in itself.
Landry.
I'm going to start with an aside. The Fourth Doctor was my introduction to Doctor Who. I stumbled across it while flipping through channels and was like, oh, this is interesting. It was Seeds of Doom, which on the surface was a very tempting one for me to give, but I have to admit there's so much nostalgia driven into that, and that serial's, it's probably 2 episodes longer than it should have been. But and I of course found the Fourth Doctor completely captivating at the time, and this is really just directed at Jimmy and defensive Jermaine there, but in the greater concept of Doctor Who, Tom Baker is pretty low on my list of doctors as well. It's not that I don't think he's good, interesting. I mean, I think he did an amazing job with the role, but in terms of pure entertainment, I definitely have several that are above him, because I also love being wrong and contrarian.
There you go.
Yeah, you're very wrong when it comes to New Who, but Classic Who, you're normally spot on. But this one,
to be clear, the thing is, I think I can divide the Fourth Doctor era into 3 eras, and they're based on the producers. And for me, once we get into what's his name, the third producer, the one that took the show until it ended. That's when it lost me. Now there's a middle, because the first. That's
also when it lost Tom Baker. Tom Baker said that's probably when he should have left.
What's
John Nathan Turner?
Yes. So the first producer they had really just continued on with the basic kind of stories that the Third Doctor had. Only the Doctor is moving around more. He didn't change a lot at that point. But the middle producer was only there a couple of years, during the Leela era primarily. he did to Doctor Who what we see so much greatness in David Tennant's first season. We see it in Tomb of the Cybermen. He did horror stories, only he did them in science fiction filter. Like what's his name with the Brain of Morbius as an example. And my favorite, Horror of Fang Rock. It is
so good.
That was
so good. And again, I only watched that one because of you guys. I hadn't actually seen that one. I'd seen most of Tom Baker's, but Leela didn't interest me much. So I kind of phased out for her stuff, and I got back in for the more science fiction stuff as a kid. Going back to it as an adult, watching Horror of Fang Rock, it resonates for me in the same way that Tomb of the Cybermen does. It's, they show up in this place and they just have to survive it. It's a horror story. It's Alien, as it was mentioned with Tomb of Cybermen. It's that same kind of thing, and it is so very good.
That episode is not only just like showing like how the Doctor's greatest asset, his curiosity, could also be his downfall.
Yeah. It's just very, very, very good. And it is tough because there are a lot of good Baker episodes. He was a phenomenal actor, and there's some phenomenal scripts during that time. But in the end, it is the simplicity of the story that makes it kind of it's a favorite for me in a way because it's timeless. Where some of the pacing of some of them, it doesn't age as well. This is an episode that is aged very, very well, and I think a modern audience would still respond to it properly. So, yeah.
Okay. For me, Jimmy, when three people are telling you something, maybe we're not the ones wrong. I came to appreciate Tom Baker, but when I first started watching his episodes, I was not a big fan. I gotta admit, it's not that he's a bad actor.
Robot's not that good. I understand. I get that. Robot's not that good, other than Regeneration.
Robot is really not that good. But no, the problem is that a lot of the stories just don't hit for me. There are a lot of good episodes, but there's also a lot of episodes because he was there for so freaking long. Which I mean, probably is why he's a favorite. There's many parallels between him and David Tennant. Waited on for so long. But the thing is, one key episode has been plaguing my mind for weeks, and I was thinking, oh, well, this might just come off as recency bias because having to watch Empire of Death just made me realize, oh, Pyramid of Mars is really that good. Pyramid of Mars is pretty much my favorite story because Empire of Death is not good, but Pyramid of Mars is. It's fantastic.
It's very good.
I'll give you that. Yes, but the third episode kind of filler.
I mean, a little bit, but I don't even notice it because I'm so engaged still. Like it's 4 episodes. It's strong. Sutek, the villain, his voice, his costume, everything. It is so intriguing.
Best version of Sutek.
Well, yes. That's pretty much all we got. That or Big Finish. And it's fantastic. It is really that good of a story. Jimmy.
So 3 people telling me something. Yeah, you can still be wrong even if 3 people are telling you something. Like, think about it. Who's the most popular Doctor?
David Tennant.
Arguably.
Everything's a argument.
Arguably David Tennant. In my opinion, yeah. But in the broad scheme of things, everyone's gonna say Tom Baker. He's got the most iconic suit. He's got the most iconic story. Mostly the most iconic stories. But also he's the best. Tom Baker really is. Besides David Tennant, because David Tennant's my favorite. But besides David Tennant, Tom Baker really is.
You yourself just knocked him down a peg. He's second best.
Well, I'm biased because I'm younger. Who's your favorite? Oh, that's right, Peter Capaldi, right?
Yeah, Peter Capaldi. And Patrick Troughton is a close second. No pun intended. But Tom Baker was the first Doctor I ever saw, and yet still, I probably enjoyed Davison more than him when he first showed up. Not that I think his episodes are better; they're not better.
Well, I mean, think about it. The thing that got you into Doctor Who, the Tom Baker era. The thing before New Who, the most famous Doctor, Tom Baker. The most iconic Doctor, Tom Baker.
Why? And you know why? He was on the longest, 7 years.
Yeah, there's a reason he was on the longest, because his numbers for viewership.
His numbers were very good.
His numbers were very good, better, in fact,
you know who was
than every other Doctor before him.
You know who I'm giving credit to that? Douglas Adams.
You do have to give a lot of credit to Douglas Adams.
He did a lot for that show.
Yeah, he did. But also, like, just Tom Baker himself, as like, Tom Baker didn't play the Doctor. Tom Baker played Tom Baker in the show, and that elevated the Doctor.
He was phenomenal, and he was absolutely fantastic. Just in the end, I think it's not a question of whether he was good or not. I think that what I like out of the Doctor is less of his weirdness and more of his cantankerousness.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, every Doctor before Tom Baker, they didn't have curiosity. They landed someplace and just went, all right.
Troughton.
No, Troughton did a little bit. He didn't have it. He did not have it as much as Tom Baker. Tom Baker made his curiosity and a trait and asset of the Doctor.
No, I wouldn't disagree. I just do not find him to be my favorite.
No,
and
I mean, that's fine.
He's bad.
You don't have to, but I'm saying, like, Tom Baker elevated what was before him.
Let's follow this up with a ranking of our favorite Doctors at a different time. Let's move on, because we're not even halfway through.
That's fair. But I'll give this my favorite is the City of Death. City
Very
of Death.
Good. Douglas Adams.
Douglas Adams, yes. I mean, yeah. Speaking of, Douglas Adams wrote a fantastic script. Like half of City of Death had to do with science and all that stuff until we got to the aliens. And not only that, it has probably some of the most funniest like just quips in general the Doctor has ever done, which here I'm sharing my screen. I will share. It's 2 seconds. We're able to play it. Share audio. Share.
You're a beautiful woman, probably.
That's so funny. And that also is like another great trait. In that, he's him saying, "You're a beautiful woman, probably." He's trying to give a compliment to a woman who's willing to kill the entire Earth to bring back her planet, and he's still giving her a compliment, even though he has no sense of sexuality because the Doctor's alien and he thinks she's human. I mean, she's disguised as human, so he doesn't tell. He can't. The Doctor's asexual. Because all of Gallifrey's dead. So, I mean, basically, now, but then, no. But Gallifrey, he's attracted.
Oh, I always figured he hooked up with Romana. Everyone assumed he hooked up with Romana back in the day.
Oh. In what episode?
Because there was a commercial.
Yeah, right.
Where the two of them.
The commercial, not the actual show.
Yeah, no, but but the reason that commercial worked for people is because there was an assumption that the two of them, and honestly, she is the only companion that came in and held her own at that time in that way with the Doctor, which is why she didn't.
Well, I mean, she was Gallifreyan as well. I mean, what do you expect?
She's brilliant. She was absolutely brilliant.
She's smart.
We got to move.
Time and the Time Lady love each other very, very much.
But not only that, I like the very first episode so much, because like if you put the very first episode in a time capsule, it will do exactly what a time capsule is supposed to do. Show you what Paris was like in the 82, 83? It was somewhere around there in the 80s. And because they're walking around Paris, all of that, and then he just gets swept away.
They didn't have to work hard to show Paris in the 80s, right? They just showed it. It was just there.
That's why it's great. The best, excuse me. This is why Russell is actually really probably the best showrunner for Doctor Who, because he tried his best to film on location whenever he could. After him, they always use green screen sets, stuff like that, and it made it feel more fake.
So we got to move.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, Landry, I appreciate you. Thank you for kicking me off and not talk. I appreciate that.
I'm good at that.
We'll see you at
Rain.
Fifth Doctor was between two. The first one being the Caves of Androzani. Again, it's a good way for the Doctor to go out. Again, it's a lot of people go in or show up in the first few. A lot of people don't make it to the end. Anything with Pepper in it, particularly some of the shots here, I'm always a fan of. There you go. But I had to go with Earthshock. And yes, it is because it is it's a important part of Doctor Who history. It's Ardrick, even though he's kind of like, for those of you who know comics, was sort of the Jason Todd of his day. People couldn't wait to kill him or for him to go out, but I think Ardrick went out in the way. He died the same way that he lived, having to prove that he was right. But I also think the way that episode ended, it ended in a way that was so dramatic. You see echoes of it to this day. Particularly if anybody's a fan of the series of 24, they totally ripped off anytime an important character dies. You just get the silent credits roll. And we even saw it recently, for those of you who watched X-Men 97, the episode Remember Me, where they do the same thing. And I just think it was what an impactful way to have a main character of a series go out. Yeah, Earthshock is the one of all the episodes of the Fifth Doctor. That's the one that story sticks with me, and that's what I would have to keep.
I'll never know if I was right.
Oh, Landry.
Tragic.
I also enjoyed watching Adric die, but
Me too.
I honestly, I really liked Davison when he showed up. I never, even when I was 12 or whatever, when that happened, didn't enjoy his episodes very much. There's only one really good one for me. There's really only one real choice for me, and that is actually Caves of Androzani. It's brilliantly written. It's the Doctor and Perry, and I've talked about this several times on this show here. The Doctor and Perry land, and from the moment they land, they're dying and just trying to escape, and everything that happens, they're not trying to save these people. They're not trying to stop the war. They're not trying to improve the situation. They just want to get out alive, and they don't even really do that. Technically, the Doctor does not survive. And the Peter Davison talked about the filming of the moment where he's on the ship and he's screaming, "You're not going to stop me now!" And the director is just jumping up and down, saying, more, yelling at him to make it bigger and bigger. And he said if it'd been like that earlier in his time on Doctor Who, he might not have left. It was that was what he wanted as an actor. And you see it, like, oh, that's what Davison is capable of this intense passion and energy and determination. And I wanted to see so much more of that, but we get it in that episode.
It's also the highest rated Doctor Who episode of all time, which earned Peter Davison a Guinness record for the best Doctor Who episode.
I'm not surprised. I mean, it was transformative at its time. The only thing I didn't like was the minute I saw Colin Baker.
Change my idea.
And then I didn't watch Doctor Who again until 2006.
Really?
Yeah. Well, okay. In fairness,
no, that was a good time to leave.
14, 15 years old, by this point, and I got other things going on. Plus, it stopped airing. It wasn't as easy to find, so I just no, I don't care.
No, it was a good time to leave.
It was a good time to leave. So yeah, I got to go with Caves of Androzani. It just really, really transformative episode. Defines the Fifth Doctor for me.
I'm so sorry. I'm so
All right, now I'm eagerly waiting for some bullshit Pixel's gonna say.
I'm choosing another anniversary 5 Doctors.
No!
I love the caves. I do. I know it's the rougher of the specials, but I really do enjoy Time Lord shenanigans. And going ahead, and then the Master running along as well. First time we see the Third Doctor and the Master since obviously Roger Delgado's unfortunate passing.
It also doesn't it introduce Rassilon as a physical character?
Yes.
Sort
and
of.
That hits. Him going ahead and what's the name of the Time Lord that he pretty much?
Oh, we lost.
Huh?
We lost you, right?
He should be in a moment, hopefully. But yeah, no, I really do enjoy the 5 Doctors. I think it's probably my favorite of 5's episodes. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to choose. What is it? The one with Omega as well. We reviewed it here on the channel.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to choose that, but you have that stupid subplot with Tegan's cousin, and I can't. It's so bad. But everything else is very good. But that subplot being the starting force, it totally weakens that episode. So 5 Doctors is what I'm choosing.
Yeah, Jimmy, you were right. He's allowed to be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like caves, I do. But I can't really like I was telling Jermaine earlier, the 5th Doctor is one of the weakest for me because most of his stories are just
You're not wrong.
They're very mid.
Somehow you like the 5th Doctor.
It's not his fault, but it's just that. And then you have Adric for so long. Earthshock was satisfying because I enjoyed watching Adric die.
Oh, listen, contemporaneously, whatever the word. In that moment, at the age when it came out, every friend I had who watched Doctor Who was cheering.
Yeah. Can't blame him.
It's like how we all voted for Robin to die.
No, Robin's actually underrated.
Jimmy, your favorite 5th Doctor episode?
My favorite 5th Doctor episode is also top 3 best Dalek episodes of all time. Resurrection of the Daleks. Brings. Oh, what was that face, Pixel? Huh?
I just can't really remember it.
You don't remember, dude? Rewatch it. You're gonna be like, actually, it's pretty damn good.
That's pretty good.
I mean, actually, knowing you, you'll probably say this is a bad episode. No, it's actually so good. It is also one of the first times we see a Doctor use a gun, and he just caps a fucking Dalek. This is also one of the first times we see Daleks as their squid form. Really cool, kind of like almost face hugger-ish, like Alien. Dude, this episode's so good because it also manipulated the Daleks manipulated the minds of soldiers to the point where they were evil, and I think you know how humans in new Doctor Who can be changed, and they're they have the Dalek eye stalk come out of their forehead.
I didn't like that. No. Yeah, I know what you're
Okay, I think this is one of the influences of that, which I actually really like because Daleks are so smart. They're the superior. They are the superior being in the universe, other than Time Lords.
I'm with Jimmy on this. Oh my god, I keep agreeing with Jimmy.
I mean, I'm right a lot, so it makes sense. But this one's really cool because this is one of the first times he has to talk with Davros and be like, hey, let's talk this out. Tom Baker did that, but Davros was not really having it. The first Doctor, he never even spoke to them. The Daleks were just like, we want to kill everything. Second Doctor, same thing. Third Doctor, same thing. This is the first time where like he actually had a conversation. I mean, okay, let me rephrase that. Tom Baker did, but like where they both
I see what you're going with. He was able to really plead the case here. And
yes.
There's almost a moment you think he's going to get through somewhere.
Yes, thank you.
But it goes the wrong direction, inevitably.
Yeah, inevitably it does. Like just like it did with Peter Capaldi, which is also one of my favorite scenes with Davros. That the Witcher's familiar, and it shows you like there is rationale behind the Daleks, and it's Davros. That's why Davros is very formidable, because he's also on the same lengths as the Doctor. Not as smart to the point where he'll win, but he gets so close, and the Doctor gives him every chance he could, and it just, oh man, it's a nail biter this episode.
Okay. Gervain, you are back. Time for Sixth Doctor.
There's only one. It was the trial of a Time Lord. I mean, I know it's the longest clip show in the history of clip shows, but I think if you had to take everything that was good about the Sixth Doctor and basically give him a send-off at the same time, I think Trial of a Time Lord is the way to go out. I mean, just the opening sequence alone was just amazing. I think you get the Sixth Doctor at his best, his cheeky, obnoxious, sarcastic, defying authority best. And what a better way, and I think it's actually in a way kind of, I guess the word you might correct me on this, it might be ironic that the way that the Doctor goes out is actually defending himself, defending the fact that he was a Time Lord in the first place. And I like the meta commentary on that part of it, which I think
Gervain is so right.
It plays more later, it plays more now than it might have did at the point. So in that case, it's a little bit ahead of its time. So
like what? Out of like all the 8, was it 8 episodes or 2 episodes?
I think it was 8, right, Pixel?
Yeah. It's the entire episode length.
Yeah.
Yeah.
12 episodes.
12.
All right, 12. What was your favorite? Because like every episode, there was something different happening, and it was very like kind of intriguing. What was your favorite?
Okay, if I remember correctly, because it was a while since I watched it, I think for me it was when he found out what happened to Perry. I think that was to me, because to me that kind of, watching it after watching some Modern Who, particularly with 10, it kind of plays into, I think there's this aspect of the Doctor where it's kind of like, because he's lived so long, in a way, it's kind of the point that Rory, I think, makes about him, Danny Pink makes about him as well, is that, and even Martha to a certain extent, it's like he's like fire, and it's almost like
you're 100% with Danny Pink.
There's a carelessness about him, and it's not that it's intentional, and it's not necessarily that it's malicious. I think there's just, I think that part of him doesn't really get redeemed. Is in a couple of one of my other choices until 11, where it's kind of like you could arguably make the point that he's so much a product of time that he's out of it, and he just kind of goes about dealing with people in a detached way. That can be a weakness.
I'm so with you with Danny Pink and Rory, because remember that scene with Rory where he was like, promise you will make sure she's safe. That I agree. Same thing with Danny Pink when he was like, you come along and like people die. Sort of scene.
You make them
I'm not entirely sure I agree with you with Martha.
I'll retract that. I would definitely say that came from her mom.
Okay.
People around the companions recognize there's something dangerous about him, and not in a good way. But
I think Martha sees it in the end, but not in a way that she's critical of the Doctor. She just recognizes, she saw what happened to her own family. You know,
I feel that I do need to mention that. Well, even though Perry is revealed to later be, oh, her mind went back. It's okay, but no, that emotional moment when Six sees what happens.
Yep.
He was pulled out of time before he had a chance to stop it, and that's the real heartbreaker there, because he's just sitting there, useless. He feels powerless, and that's his friend.
It's Space Raven all over again.
Yeah, it's really hard. Okay, Landry, the Q Walkers.
You know, I have to go with Trial of the Time Lord. Every Time Lord. In its entirety. Don't ask me to pick a specific episode. I've forgotten most of them. We reviewed it here, and I was surprised by how much I did enjoy it. I can't say that it kept me, like it kept with me. I appreciate your passion for this Doctor, Pixel. I do. I wish you well on that journey. I can't go with you on that. The road you're on is yours alone. What I have to say about Trial of the Time Lord, though, is it is cheeky and obnoxious, sarcastic, defiant authority. It's ironic the way the Doctor goes out is defending himself. You just said it so well, Gervain. I'm just gonna plagiarize that. But it's actually all very true that the concept of that, they just should have pulled the proverbial trigger and had the Time Lords pull what they did. They trigger regeneration.
Yeah, the two. Yep, I agree. Yep.
And Perry should have been gone, and it should have ended there, and it would have put such an asterisk on the legacy of the Sixth Doctor of that he was wild in his own way. He was careless. He was the most careless Doctor we've seen at that point in his own, like, almost air. He just kind of drove through things with a truck a lot of the times. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a part of the Doctor that makes him interesting, because he does do that. Having a version of the Doctor where he's basically called an account on that, sure. I might be making some of it up because I don't remember him that well, Pixel. I see you ready.
But see, that's if they had done that. See, because I think honestly, there's a through line from about 6 to about 11 of dealing with that aspect of the Doctor.
Yeah.
It's like with 6, what it is that he's starting to, like what we say, he's starting to feel himself in a way that it's like when you look at 7 is doing things that 10 hates, because it's just like, bro, you're getting to the point now where you're manipulating people, where you're just like calling shots that really, as the Doctor, we should not be calling. And that's what ends up getting redeemed in 11. To me, I see a through line from 6 to 11.
I can see all of that. I think that I think that Colin Baker did very well. If he should have been allowed to go further with it. Is he wanted to bring back Hartnell, the arrogance part of Hartnell, the cockiness of Hartnell, the listen, child, I know better than you. That was his goal, and he wanted the suit. He wanted a Hartnell black and white suit type thing, and he was denied that, and he was very disappointed by that.
Yeah, and I would go ahead and say the whole thing was he, at the end of it, he's not going to regenerate. He does regenerate because they decide behind the scenes after that's done, okay, we're going to go with a new Doctor. That's why we get the time in the Ronnie with him in a wig, because 6 wasn't supposed to leave here.
Yeah, but I just think it would have been better had he left there. From a writing perspective, I know they didn't plan on it, but it would have worked really well. Wasn't
the plan. And to that, I will say that there's a reason why I love 6 so much, and it is Trial of the Time Lord. Trial of the Time Lord it's fantastic. It goes ahead, and I can't say it's a clip show because it is just 3 episodes really brought together to go ahead and with the clips being the court scenes actually all around that until the ultimate foe, which is the last chapter.
The Valyard, the Master appeared on the screen. Oh, I'm in the Matrix. Yes. All of that together, this is a fantastic story. It is still probably my favorite story. I have to have it all. If I had to be specific, I could say The Ultimate Foe, just because all that the Valyard's revealed as this evil version of the Doctor. That alone is enough to draw you in. Trial of a Time Lord is just fantastic.
And if I had to pick one of them, I would have picked Ultimate Foe 2 Pixels. Just that was the one if I had to pick of those 12. Yep.
That last end, yeah. Jimmy.
Yes.
6.
6. All right.
Don't do this. Don't do it.
All right. I know what it is, but before I say, check this out. You can read The Butcher's Boy live at every comic book shop in the United States of America.
Oh,
and I got to be honest, he told me about this book about a year and a half ago, something like that. And there's been ups and downs with this book. I'm telling you right now, you want to read this book. It will be made into a horror slasher here soon. You will love it. So go out, buy this book. All right. Love you, Landry. But my favorite, for sure, is Trial of the Time Lord.
Good boy.
But in particular, the very last episode.
Yep.
Do you want to know why?
Jesus Christ, why?
Because he regenerates.
Fuck you.
It's so bad, dude. The Sixth Doctor is so bad.
Which I gotta say, Colin Baker is a wonderful person. I've met him like 3 times, had extensive conversations with him each time. Wonderful, charming, engaging, like enthusiastic to meet the fans, enthusiastic about the role. He did not deserve what he got, but he didn't deserve John Nathan Turner.
I will say this, Landry, you're right. Him as a person, great person. I love listening to his interviews at like Comic-Cons, and they record them and post them on YouTube.
Oh, yeah,
love listening to. Also, he's very, very knowledgeable on Doctor Who. Not just his era, like Christopher Eccleston, but every era. He's very knowledgeable on. Great person. Oh, he's also kind of the king of Big Finish. People say he's like the best. He has the best stories on Big Finish.
He's really good. His Big Finish stuff is really good.
What was that? Was it Unbound? Unbound Doctor?
Oh, the Doctor of War. That's
No. It's like the other universe Doctor of Unbound. Is it Unbound?
That's what it was called. It was
so good.
The warrior. He wasn't even called the Doctor anymore. He was just the warrior.
Okay, yeah. That. We reviewed it here on the channel. I put myself through the pain of going, all right, I guess I'll listen to a Sixth Doctor. And I was so happy I did. He's great in Big Finish. And I do mean he's great in Big Finish. But
And Trial of the Time Lord too.
Trial of the Time Lord, I don't like any of his episodes, but Trial of the Time Lord's the best out of the lot. The beginning of Trial of the Time Lord's good. The ending of the Trial of the Time Lord's actually a lot better than the beginning. It's really good. It's really good. The middle, though, is where I have a problem. Terrible, not really needed, except for the court scenes. I don't like the middle of Trial of the Time Lord at all. But the ending, when he comes face to, like, when the Valyard kind of reveals that he is a future Doctor, so good. He revealed it was like he was like number 13 or 12, something like that.
He is this manifestation that appeared between his 12th and final form. That's what it says, 12 and 13.
Okay, all right.
So that's the vagueness is what makes him so intriguing, because you don't know specifically, because he can't just be an incarnation. Otherwise, they would just say, oh, this is the final Doctor. They don't say that.
they say between its 12th and 13th form, this is what forms.
I do like that idea, and it's really good. And that reveal was so good. I do like that. Also, it ended up being there was a sequel to that called Trial of the Valyard on Big Finish, and without Trial of the Time Lord, Trial of the Valyard would not have existed. And Trial of the Valyard is one of my favorite Big Finish episodes. So I got to give it to this, but overall, terrible doctor. Landry, we're agreeing a lot.
So much. It's creepy.
Bang, 7, please.
7th Doctor. Okay, so this one I had 3 in mind, but I will mention Paradise Towers only because I think I think what I'm realizing about classic Doctor, and I have to thank Landry for this, is that a lot of my appeal to some of these classic Doctor episodes is like the more horror elements it has, the better. And if you had to take an 80s like kind of like horror slasher flick, that would be Paradise Towers. I love the Kangs for some reason, but it's this idea of these resis, these old ladies who are operating like this sort of Hansel and Gretel-like operation, just luring innocent residents into their apartments and killing them. The very redemptive arc of Pex and so on and so forth, but this is not the one that I would keep. And I think there's a backstory to that story that could make for an interesting sequel. So it came down to Remembrance of the Daleks and The Curse of Fenric. And honestly, I had to go Remembrance of the Daleks just because Ace beat a Dalek to death with a baseball bat.
No, shut up. No.
That's it. And I'm out.
Landry.
You know what? I actually had 2 that I was seriously torn between. This has been kind of a theme going on as I'm going behind Jervain here. Curse of Fenric and the Dalek episode for a lot of the same reasons. I thought they're both really good. In the end, I went with Curse of Fenric because, again, it's that horror episode. I've noticed actually something that I must really like about Doctor Who through the course of this is I like episodes where the Doctor and his companion show up and just have to get through it. Yep. They're not there to fix it. They're there to survive it. This is one of those times. As if I recall correctly, I mean, they do stop things from getting worse, but I mean, just about everybody dies, right? But I just really liked it. I like the Ace 7th Doctor dynamic in that one. I love the 40s era stuff. I love the just all of it. I just really like that one, and I love that they tied it back into the 10th Doctor era, though they don't make it official. But the woman with the straw in when Martha first shows up is an actress in Curse of Fenric who gets turned killed by those things that are basically what she is in, a blood drinker.
Well, I'm glad that we have this one common thread, because Curse of Fenric and Remembrance of the Daleks are the ones I was between. I also chose Remembrance of the Daleks, not just because of the baseball bat, I swear, but that was a large part of it. Curse of Fenric is great though, and yes, I mean the 7th Doctor pretty much has to make Ace lose all faith in him, and it's heartbreaking. But Remembrance of the Daleks is truly just a fantastic Dalek episode, and you know what? That's the first one that the Daleks finally face their ultimate challenge and defeat it. Stairs.
You're not wrong, actually. It was great. Again, contemporaries, I can't say it, but at the time, all these people who were always like, "Ugh, Doctor Who, Daleks, why would they just stairs?" Oh, yeah? They fly now.
Yeah. They fly now?
Jimmy. Oh, no, sorry. Pixel, you were still talking.
No. I was going to say Jimmy, too.
Jimmy, too.
All right. The 8th Doctor is not my favorite.
7th.
For me, Classic Who ended with the 5th Doctor. I'm not a huge fan of Classic Who after the 5th Doctor. It's not my favorite.
I'm with you. I am with you, but you still have to Sometimes you don't like the choices you're given, but you still.
All right, fine. My favorite 8th Doctor is Happiness Patrol. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I mean, real quick, fun fact. Sadness about that. Remembrance of the Doctor happened, and then they followed it up with Happiness Patrol.
Quick aside, I had a whole bunch of people, family members. I just watched a couple good episodes of 7th Doctor. Like, let's all watch this Happiness Patrol. It sounds really great. Those people never trusted me to show them anything again.
Can't blame them. You showed them happy.
I really don't blame them. But to be fair, you came. You didn't know what that episode was going to be when you showed it to them. I don't blame you.
Why did you put on the space babies of the 7th Doctor for them? Why did you do that, Landry?
I didn't like those people. That's why.
Okay.
His family was divorced right after that. No. My favorite was actually a toss-up. But it was a toss-up between The Greatest Show in the Galaxy.
Okay.
Really liked that was it like 4 episodes? But it ended up being Curse of Fenric. In my opinion, Doctor Who is at its best when it's horror.
Yeah.
Name all the best.
Interesting thought.
Name all the best episodes of Doctor Who. Mainly, they're horror. You got Blink. You got Curse of Fenric. You got Seeds of Doom. You got Cybermen. Tomb of the Cybermen. You got it just goes on and on. And mainly, Doctor Who is at its best when it's horror. And with the 8th Doctor, Curse of Fenric.
7th.
You keep saying 8th. I don't know why. It's the 7th Doctor, you mean.
Maybe he's counting Peter Cushing.
Wait.
So, yes.
Oh, no, you're right. My bad.
So,
for some reason, I got mixed up in my head with Palm again.
So,
no, but 7th Doctor, Happiness Patrol. I'm messing up in my own head.
Jimmy's got a stroke.
I did.
Are you drinking, Jimmy?
No.
Drink water, Jimmy.
Okay.
Hydrate.
To be fair, it is 106 degrees here in Spokane.
Then seriously hydrate.
I took 3 cold showers today. It's really hot. But Curse of Fenric, it had that feel. It also, like, if you showed modern audiences Curse of Fenric, I think it would hold up. Because it was filmed in a way, it was like, it didn't feel like Doctor Who. You know, like how
like a Hammer horror film. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, but also like kind of like it had the vibe of like The Exorcist, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really show you most of what was going on, but every setting was eerie. You felt uncomfortable. By the way, the score of this episode, hands down, I don't know who did it, but applaud to them. They did great. And also that general in that episode where he was kind of like messing with the women, it made you feel uncomfortable because that's how women were treated back then. I didn't like it. But yeah, I gotta give it to Chris Fenric.
Mark Ayers did the music. He was an engineer at TVAM between 1982 and 1987, and he worked on Compromising, Greatest Show in Galaxy, Ghostlight, The Curse of Fenric. He did the sound on that stuff, on those.
Oh, Ghostlight's also a very good one.
But
by the way, like really good episodes. He did 3 really good episodes of Doctor. By the way, 2 of my favorite 7th Doctor stories, he did the music for it. So that makes sense.
He also did the musical score for the colorized blockbuster edit of the Daleks in 2023.
Oh,
he's still alive?
Dude, it has not been that. I was alive then. It's not been that long. I was an adult practically at that point.
But you had to have been. He had to have been in his 30s.
He could have been in his early 20s. We don't know.
And been like a musical genius.
People get jobs in their early 20s. I don't want to shock you.
Also, like, one of the most classic scenes of Doctor Who was the beach. Remember the beach scene in Curse of Fenric?
And I was going to mention that bit. Dude, this dude is only 10 years older than me. He's only
70?
He's 63.
Oh, yeah, 63, yeah.
It's not dead age. It hasn't been that long. Okay.
All right.
Well, the thing is, the Eighth Doctor only has the TV movie, and then he also has Night of the Doctor, which is a brilliant little like precursor to
can't
Day of
count
the
it.
Doctor. But you can't. We can't really.
Well, that's the one I was going. When I was going to Night of the Doctor, I was going to leave it at that. I ain't got no explanation. It wasn't a TV movie. So.
I was going to make a suggestion because it's already 10 o'clock and I'm a little pressed for time. If we either split this between classic and New Who, or we do kind of a rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire?
Let's finish it.
Okay.
Okay.
We just name them.
Gervain, 9.
So we're doing rapid fire?
Rapid fire.
All right. Father's Day. It was between Dalek and Father's Day, but I had
Shut up.
It's the best Rose episode. At the very least, we now learn we at least developed some sympathy for Mickey. We know it all wasn't his fault. He got rizzed at an age where he had no defense against it. If that episode never happened, Mickey might have been a better man to this day. But for me, it's Father's Day.
Landry.
Ninth. End of the World. The second episode where we're seeing the Doctor through Rose's eyes. The weirdness of it. We went from grounded on Earth to there's Earth dying. God, it's brilliantly written, and all the weirdness of Doctor Who thrown at you all at once. Loved it.
I'm choosing Dalek because Dalek is really just a fantastic episode. First time he sees the Daleks after the Time War, and just all that Christopher Eccleston brings his A game there. It's fantastic. Jimmy.
I have a hard time choosing any episode in this season because every episode is just exquisite. But I have to do Parting of the Ways because there's one thing that the Doctor does in this episode which lasts throughout every single season following it, including the newest season, where with that whole Bridgerton episode where he says, "Will you give up the entire world to save one your friend?" And he said no. And in Parting of the Ways, when the Daleks say, "Are you coward or murderer?" or something like that, I can't remember exactly, but he says, "I'm a coward any day."
Yeah.
Any day. That for me is what Doctor Who is all about.
Very good episode. All right. 10th.
Not my favorite, but the best.
There was a lot here. Midnight, Turn Left, Journey's End, End of Time, Part 2, but it came down to choosing between two: Partners in Crime and Blink. Partners in Crime is a little bit sentimental because that was the one that got the rest of my family into the Doctor, especially the whole speech between Donna and the 10th when they discover her. But I had to go with Blink because we've been talking about this all night. Doctor Who does its best when it's horror. This is the episode that I recommend to anybody. If you have somebody who's a newbie to Doctor Who and you want them to get into it, you show them Blink. It has the least amount of Doctor in it, but it's the easiest one to get into because it's basically a straight up horror / time travel / adventure episode story.
And you're a man of culture.
My reasons are almost identical. It was Tooth and Claw because I love that Doctor Who horror werewolf episode. They show up, they just have to survive again. I really like Army of Ghosts. Just that one is just fan nerd canon stuff. Cybermen, Dalek, but it's not one I feel like epitomizes Doctor Who. I know that the real best one, I'm blanking on the name, but with the stone tablet, we all love that one. With the girl on the stone tablet with the Absorbaloaf.
Love and Monsters.
Love and Monsters.
Shut the fuck. This is my face. This is my face in real life. This is my face in real life from hearing you say that.
It was a very, very difficult choice between Blink, Turn Left, and Unicorn and the Wasp. I love all three of those, but I went with Blink for the same reasons that Gervain did. It is horror. It works on its own. It's standalone. It turns so many people into Doctor Who fans for a good reason. That's the Jimmy I expect. That's the Jimmy I'm here for.
That's the face I gave when you said that. Like, fucking really? Really? No. Pixel, go.
Yes. I chose Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead. It introduces River Song. It's fantastic. It has the library itself is an intriguing planet. The Vashta Nerada, a fantastic monster, and you get an excellent performance from Ten, who is very confused because why does this woman know him so much?
Yeah.
That is enough to drive you in. Jimmy.
My favorite will be this is the hardest one because it's my favorite Doctor. There's so many great episodes: Forest of the Dead, Silence of the Library. You have fucking Impossible Planet, Satan Pit. But I have to. Fuck! It's so hard. But I probably have to give it to Water of Mars because this is right after the Doctor lost everyone. This is after Journey's End. Everyone went out and did their own thing. The Doctor lost everyone. And he finally said, I am the Lord of Time. There's no one else. The laws of time are mine. You guys will live. And time will obey me. And it doesn't. This is the first time the Doctor lost everything minus one. And he paid the price.
Yeah.
Your roommate isn't very happy with you, Jimmy.
You're right. He's probably awake now. He got to wake up. But this was very close with Human Nature and Family of Blood. That one for me shows the Doctor being the Doctor in a human form. Even when he's not a Time Lord, even when he's not himself, he is the Doctor. But this one tips it over the edge. Water of Mars.
Oh, okay.
11.
Gervais.
All right, 11 was hard. You have 11th Hour, Vincent and the Doctor, Pandorica Opens, A Christmas Carol, The Great Gamboni, A Good Man Goes to War, The Girl Who Waited. The Doctor.
Wait. Did you say Good Man Goes to War?
Yes, and that's the one I'm picking as my favorite, A Good Man Goes to War.
Oh, no.
You know what? Yeah, I feel that. I vibe with that.
This is when it all comes to a head. Is he going to be Time Lord victorious? Is he going to be acting like Seven? It's the idea that River Song comes along and she finally calls him out and says, buddy, this is the road you're heading down. And if you don't stop right here, right now, you're going to become something that you didn't mean to be. In other words, he's going to walk right back into getting close to what he was as the War Doctor. And it plays on everything. The girl that thing of like how he can be careless with companions. Oh, we ran, didn't we? Didn't we run? And he had no idea who that chick was. It's the fact that when me, what got it was, and this is the one where I introduced my family. They really got to Doctor Who. It's that reveal of when River Song is calling him out and he just walks up to her. And I remember saying the line in my head before he said, "Who are you?" You know what? Let's stop playing games. Let's get down to brass tacks. What is going on here? Yeah, look, it's the best one for me. This was a really hard choice to make because it was 11th Hour. But the reason why I like 11th Hour, I think it plays into this because he's given that speech. This is a Doctor who gives speeches, and all of his speeches was try me. Oh, really? All of you remember every black day that you came after me, and this is it, and then let somebody else go first. He was on a path, and A Good Man Goes to War is when he got stopped, and that's why.
Okay.
Okay. Hold up.
All right.
I know it's quick. I know it's quick. But Gervain, you convinced me. That is actually a very good reason to pick that.
I have to say the same thing because, to be fair, I really do not like the writing after Russell T Davies left. I do not like much of the writing of the Moffat era of Doctor Who. I think the musical scores are brilliant. I think Matt Smith is fantastic as the Doctor. I mean, very, very good. I love the companions. But overall, the writing of this era, the pacing of this era, the structure of this era does not work for me. I don't care for River Song as a concept. I know people love her. It just doesn't work for me. There is not much I like about the 11th Doctor era, except Matt Smith is still one of my favorite Doctors as a performer, so it's a little bit
I
difficult.
agree.
I love Vampires of Venice.
Okay.
It's basic. There's nothing in there that couldn't have been done by any other Doctor, in fairness, but it didn't try to be bigger. And I think that's one of the reasons things I don't like about the 11th Doctor. Everything had to have bigger ramifications, bigger story elements going on. I just want one and done Doctor Who more often than not. You show up, you deal with it, you get out. And that's
also because of the ending of season of the 11th Doctor's first season. The Pandorica, the end of the universe, the entire universe was coming to an end. And then the next season after that was like, how do we make it bigger? Right. You can't. That's the end of the universe.
And that's the thing is maybe they don't need to keep trying. That's the topic for a different time is there's what I call the Superman effect of continually having to scale a character up because the last time they defeated a threat that was the biggest threat. So now you need a bigger threat than the biggest threat. And now you need
That's what makes that, but on some level makes it work. That's why they went inward with him. They started working on an actual character as opposed to
listen, that's why I agree with you. The character work is goddamn solid. Yep. It really is. It's just amidst all this stuff that just goes on too much for me. It's not that there isn't great concept work in there, but in the end, I picked Vampires of Venice. I love the concept behind it. I love the actors. I love the guy who sacrifices himself and his daughter is taken. The fish, sexy fish. Who doesn't love a sexy fish? Next.
I'm going with the Doctor's wife. 11 goes ahead and he's called to a planet where, could the Time Lord still be here? No, it turns out that it is an entity that's gone ahead and drawn Time Lords there through time, and it's finally reached the Doctor. And then the TARDIS gets a human form. It's Neil Gaiman does fantastic work here, and you know what? I love the fact that the 11th Doctor had to build his own console out of bits of another TARDIS. It just feels like, okay, that's perfect. Yeah. Doctor's wife. Jimmy.
My favorite will have to be Vincent and the Doctor.
I knew you'd pick that.
I mean, to be fair, in my opinion, this is my favorite episode of Doctor Who of all time. Not because the ending, although that is really the best part of the episode. The best for me, this really was an allegory for depression, and I dealt with it many times in my life. Not to the point where I was hospitalized when I was very younger. I was institutionalized. For me, this is very important. Also, America these days, one of the leading causes of death in teens and young children is depression. It, for me, speaks to America, and I would assume the world because of that. But also the ending where he takes Vincent to the future, to 2010, shows him, hey, you will have influence. You will make good art. People will appreciate you in the future.
Very well said. I just have to say. I mean, incredibly well said, Jimmy. Very well said.
Not only that, because it's an allegory for depression. Yep. He shows him he will be influenced in the future. He will be considered one of the greatest artists who ever lived. But because depression influenced his life so much, it didn't change a thing.
Yep. Very tragic.
He still killed himself.
Yeah.
But the thing is, even with that, Amy feels like, so we did nothing. And the Doctor goes ahead and points out, don't think that you didn't do anything for him. And he points out that sunflower for Amy. And that's just a fantastic.
And he got rid of that monster in the painting. That, for me, is so brilliant. And that clip for artists, it tells you, artists, me, Landry, Javane, Pixel, everyone who wants to be an artist, that clip of taking Vincent into the museum and showing him his influence has spread so far, way past Doctor Who. People have seen that clip way more than people who even know what Doctor Who is, to the point where it shows them keep going and make good art, as said by the words of the great Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
Devane.
Okay, 12 is going to be controversial, so because I'm going to leave the actual choice to the rest of you because this is a sentimental favorite of mine, but I am going to say if I got the order right, Dark Water. And the reason why Jimmy's going to hate me for this is because this is when Clara finally made sense for me. This is when she kind of sunk in as a character that I like. I believe in this episode, if I'm getting it right, is the scene where she steals the keys from the TARDIS and confronts the Doctor in a volcano. And it was
that is a good scene.
Yeah, it was just, that was something that it's to this day, it's just that scene, but it's just the confrontation, what she's willing to do. And the way that the Doctor is just like, hell no. You're not going to bluff me. You're not going to scare me. At that point, I could not stand Clara when she was with 11. I actually checked out of a lot of that, but this made me go, okay, now we're cooking with some gas. But I know what the actual best one of this should be, so I'll leave that to the rest of it. But for me, it would be Dark.
Landry.
Heaven Sent.
Yep.
Heaven Sent. Heaven Sent is, I think, the best written episode of Doctor Who ever, the best acted. The monologue. Capaldi carries the entire thing on his own. He monologues his way through the entire episode. The music is Murray Gold's absolute best. A metaphor. It's all a metaphor for grief, and continuing to fight your way through and punch your way through grief. It is just so powerful. The only thing that might give Blink an edge over it is Blink has a freaking ending.
Yeah.
And Heaven Sent technically ends on a cliffhanger, and the follow-up to the cliffhanger kind of sucks. But Heaven Sent on its own, I've watched that episode a dozen times. I've shown that episode to a dozen people who aren't Doctor Who fans, and they all will. That hit them so hard. That episode, they connected so well with it. A lot of people think, oh, you have to know the continuity or this for that, but you do not. I give them the basics with that episode, which is he's a time traveler. His companion, his friend has died, and he's been carrying around a secret, and someone is after it. That's all you need. Boom, done. So yeah, Heaven Sent, 100%.
Okay. Well, my answer is similar, except I include the ending, Hellbent, as well. I don't care. I don't care what people say. I don't. I'm sorry. I know the Doctor goes too far, which is a theme we keep talking about. A lot of those episodes that are strong has it where the Doctor has a Jesus Christ has it where he goes ahead and he is going just a touch too far. He's going down a dark path. This leads him down that dark path, and at the end, his friend, who knows, she's fine. I'm going. This isn't you. You're allowing your grief to take you over, and it has to stop. And she goes ahead. She does it for him, and he goes ahead. He becomes the Doctor again after that in season 10. And I really love Heaven Sent and Hellbent. Love it both. Jimmy.
Yeah. How did Clara die?
Yeah, whatever.
The Raven.
The Raven's another one.
Yeah. She died with the Raven. Does she still live?
Of course she does. She's spinning around in the TARDIS with the girl who died right now.
Existing in the last second of her life.
Right. She will go back to that moment eventually.
She has to go back the long way around. It's just like
well, that's all right then. Terrible. I do have to say, Heaven Sent is one of the greatest episodes of television, not just Doctor Who, television ever. But it is, for me, in particular, it is slightly beaten out. And you will hate me for this, and I don't give a crap. It is the episode Listen.
Listen?
Yes. And I'll tell you what, it's very horror. It's best from Doctor Who's horror. It's that what lives under your bed? What lives when like the back of your hair sticks up? What is that? It's all of that. But most importantly, even for me, because like I'm a religious man. I try to do the best I can be. So I ask my friends every now and then the same thing the Doctor asked Clara in this episode. In my opinion, it's the best scene with the Doctor and Clara. It's that scene where it goes, am I a good man? And she says, I don't know. He wants to be a good man, but he doesn't know if this new person that he is good. So he's going to try his best to be that good person. And for me, that scene where he just goes, am I a good man? And Clara goes, I don't know. For me, that scene is when the doctor made the choice. I will be kind. I mean, always try to be nice, but never fail to be kind. That's the scene where he lives up to that promise.
I could have easily picked Mummy on the Orient Express in that for some of those same reasons. Brilliant episode.
I'm very disappointed in all of us because none of us went ahead and mentioned The Doctor Falls. That the two-parter at the end of season 10 is one of the best stories.
I also have to say
hellbent. So
I also have to say, Javane, you're not wrong. Dark Water is so good, but not because of Clara. that episode is so good, not because of her.
I have to go here.
Yeah, okay, but it's because of the way he deals with her. That's what it is.
So
yes. And that scene where she's throwing the keys,
I'm going to read off my last
in the water.
Let Landry
I gotta go
off his last few 13, 14, and 15.
Okay, so I got to go Spyfall. I did not like a lot of that era of Doctor Who. There's a lot of Spyfall I did enjoy, and particularly the reveal on the plane. I thought was wonderfully done on all parts.
Part 1 and part 2?
Whichever part was on the plane.
Part 2.
Okay.
That's part 1.
Listen, I didn't like a lot of this era of Doctor Who, so it's a low bar. But I did enjoy that part. Star Beast for 14. Yeah. I mean, I'm so biased with this. I read that comic when it was brand new. You know.
No. I get what you're saying, but Wild Blue Yonder is like leagues.
Let him get out.
Yeah. Because he's got.
No, it's okay. Wait. Which one is Wild Blue Yonder?
The second one.
They're in space. They have the clones. My arms are too long.
Oh no! I liked that one a lot, and honestly, I think you're probably right. That's better. I'm so biased on this one, because it was like seeing a comic book of my childhood come to life. It's a real. I think I think technically I agree with you, but the bias is really strong here. And then
nostalgia.
Nostalgia is really strong on that one. Dot and Bubble. I love, and again, Doctor horror. And then the way they dealt with it at the end, it's like, oh, we won't go with you. You're the wrong kind of person. Like, whoa!
Let me save you!
Oh, God. That's when he became the Doctor for me.
Yep.
That was it. That was his best, most bright and shining moment. I don't care if you hate me. Let me just save you. God, it was so good. I have to go, but those are my picks. I look forward to catching up and seeing what you guys picked for the rest of yours. See you all next time.
Love you, Landry. Bye.
Bye. Alrighty.
All right, so let's finish up this Dark Order real quick. So I agree. I agree with you, Jimmy, because so much of it is it really shows you who this new Doctor is. Because my favorite line, it actually became one of my tenets in life in terms of dealing with unforgiveness. So you had talked about depression before. For me, it's always, as a Christian, it's been dealing with an unforgiving spirit. And it's the idea where he says to Clara, you betrayed me. Everything you did, you betrayed me. Do you really think that I would care for you any less? And so Christ-like, he took on such a Christ-like aura and a way of operating. The whole thing where he talks about with expectation without reward. Like,
no, I'm so with you. Okay. Like, because that scene with the lava and where he goes, do you think I would care for you any less?
Yep.
You are so right. I forgot about that exact part too, but that scene with the keys. Oh my goodness. So good. Like, it would be really hard if you just talk about one of the greatest scenes of Doctor Who and all of Doctor Who. It would be really hard to argue that scene not being in the top 3.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, it's something where it is, honestly, because I shared it with my wife. It was like that really made me think about, as being a father, a husband, and a man, how to regard and deal with other people.
Yep.
And especially when you see the worst of people, if you're really claiming to be a Christian, is that not the attitude you're supposed to have?
No.
Is that not really it? So yeah, that's why Dark Water. I mean, I know Heaven Sent is the one. It's like if you really had to take it Heaven Sent, but it's like that's why for me Dark Water, it's more that scene and it's more that expression of who the doctor.
So good.
Yeah.
Gervain, 13.
All right, for me, it's gonna have to be Eva the Daleks, and it's only because like I like the woman who the Earth. And I particularly because I like Grace, and I thought they were going to keep her around a little bit longer, as I actually thought she would have been a great companion because she had like the sort of the whimsy and the curiosity and the adventurousness of the Doctor, unlike those who eventually end up going with her, and the way that she gets killed, I think, and I like the way that Graham and Ryan kind of get revenge for her, but honor her in the last episode of that serial. But for me, Eva the Daleks, good sci-fi. I love the groundhog aspect to it. There's a lot of comedy in it. It's a good standalone episode that basically I just wish all of 13's episodes had that kind of to it. I mean, the other ones were Rosa and Arachnids in the UK, only because Arachnids in the UK was fun. Chris Noth put in a great Trump-like performance. Rosa, I think it had a certain charm to it, and it acknowledges the at least the racial aspects of how time traveling can be problematic. But to me, Eve of the Daleks, I just think it felt more. That's when she felt the most Doctor Who.
I have so many things that I could say, but I don't want to go. So the Arachnids in the UK, they make the Doctor. Oh, you can't shoot that beast. You can't shoot that. You shoot that spider. That's wrong. We're going to have it suffocate to death instead. That's the natural way. She literally tortures animals in that episode. Animal cruelty in Arachnids in the UK. In Rosa, how do they go ahead and defeat the problem? They're part of the problem. No, Graham, I don't want to sit on the bus. You have to sit down.
No. They're not a part of the problem. They are literally the problem.
They are the problem. No, we have to be the problem. Be racist. Do it.
No, but also like for that episode of Rosa, I'm not gonna lie. I do like because that also shows the Doctor having to do almost one of the hardest things they've ever had to do. And that is be racist and be the problem. Be the literal problem. But if it means exactly, if it means people will live good, healthy, happy, equal lives as everyone else, the Doctor will do the hard thing and be the bad guy in order for it to happen. For me, that's why it's good. But also, it just shows that's also kind of bad.
I'll give Pixel this. I think the one thing that was missing from the episode is there wasn't a scene where Ryan and Yaz, or even the Doctor and Graham, had to really confront what they were doing to the other two. I will give you that. That's what's missing from it.
Are we not going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room that Ryan was also part of the problem? But why wasn't he pointed to the back?
He almost had an Emmett Till moment there. You have to give the brother a break.
Wait. Ryan wasn't on the bus.
Oh, he wasn't?
No,
I think so.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. I couldn't remember because
if you're correct, I'm wrong. That is also like, are you fucking kidding me? But like, I don't think he was on the bus. Wasn't he with like MLK?
But no, I think
no, he might have been in the house. But no, I get what you're saying. The fact that they had to force a moment to happen.
Yeah, and then they go ahead. They take a moment like Rose is saying, no, I'm not going back there. And
no, but like Landry is also right when we discussed this on the show like a year ago. Don't write the Doctor to the point where you put them in a position to do that.
Okay,
write a better scene.
I'm going to push back on it a little bit because there's I don't know how well known a fact this is about the Rosa Parks woman. So you're talking about people being part of the problem. The simple fact of the matter is the reason why Rosa Parks was essentially, that was a design moment and planned and picked to do that, was because actually that moment had happened, I think it was roughly, if not a few months, a year before that, with a young Black woman who was pregnant who had to do the same thing. And the reason why the civil rights CP didn't push that is because she wouldn't have made a good poster child for the movement. So there is a certain cynicism, a cynical, calculated approach to doing the right thing. And I'm not giving the writers all this credit to say this is what they were trying to make that point with, but that is a backstory to that, is that Rosa Parks was picked because she was more palatable in terms of being a symbol for what was wrong with that situation.
I don't know if symbol or palatable, but she was definitely more defiant.
That's exactly why they picked her, because it was kind of like people were making a point about Michael Brown when it came to Black Lives Matter. It was like people just like, yeah, I mean, we get what you're trying to say, but we just don't want to rally or build a movement around that guy. And
I see. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
So again, and that just leads me to those two episodes, and then on top of that, the most offensive thing about that entire thing, other than of course the racism, is they go ahead and put
the ending.
They put a freaking pop track, a contemporary.
I knew you were going to say that.
So bad. You can't do that. This is Doctor Who. You have people specifically there to write powerful pieces of music. And what do? And we rise up. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm gonna have to watch this episode again.
No. I knew for a fact you were gonna fucking bring that up.
I have to bring it up.
I knew for a fact you would. Dude. Wrong. That's the only episode I can think of where that would happen and it would actually be good. I liked that scene. Because think about it, when that episode aired, what happened? Right after January 6th.
No.
Yeah, 2018, 2019?
No.
All right, well, to be fair, there's a lot of turmoil in America, even if it wasn't. There's a lot of turmoil in America.
That's a different point. You're mixing up your timelines. Well, I know we're a time travel show, but...
Bro, it's been almost a decade. Think about that.
The whole thing is, it takes away from the idea that could be a powerful moment in the show. But the writing is the real problem here. It's just not a good way of addressing it. Landry's right. Dot and Bubble is a better way of dealing with the ramifications of race and time traveling.
You're right. I agree. But for what this episode is, there's a lot of good things that happen in this episode where I would be like, yeah, I can't argue it. It's good. And the fucking music at the end, that's the thing you're really upset about?
Have you guys reviewed this episode before?
Yeah. Huh? A while ago.
Okay.
It's probably 2 years
ago. No, we never reviewed this episode.
We've talked about it many times.
But we've never reviewed it because...
You know what? Honestly, we should. Because I would like to rewatch it and argue.
Yeah, I'd like to rewatch it based on Pixel. Now you're making me rethink myself here when it comes to this episode. So I'm going to have to rewatch this now.
No, there's like that scene where Ryan gets hit. Mm-hmm. That was probably the first time reality of time travel really hit someone in the fucking face.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. But like, that episode with fucking Martha. The episode with Martha where they go back Shakespearean code. She goes, I'm not really white. And he goes, walk around like you own the place. That's what I do. Yeah, you do that because you're white.
Listen, I'm not defending the Shakespeare code right now. I'm not defending. I'm attacking Rosa.
Pixel, you'd be on that bus. I get it. I
would not. The doctor would say, "No, you got to be here. You got to do it." I'm like, no. Are you ridiculous? What are you talking about?
But if you didn't do that, guess what would happen? No. If you didn't do that, guess what would happen? MLK never gave his speech. Civil rights never happened. I mean, to be fair, it would be the hardest decision I ever had to make if I was in that position.
Wait,
but I would do it.
The bus so the rest of us can run. No.
Exactly, Javane.
I also have a problem with the fact that the threat. Does anybody really remember the threat in that episode?
Yeah, the white dude who's like a racist. Yeah, that was stupid.
That came from the future, not anytime near us, way in the future. When honestly, at that point, they go ahead and say Doctor Who. At that point, humans finally get over the ridiculous prejudices that they carry.
I mean, that was that. To be fair, that's true. That was said in the very first season with Christopher Eccleston. That was like, dude, he's like Jack Harkness is banging fucking aliens. Who cares?
And it's not just Jack Harkness; it's humans. But anyway,
I mean that's true. But like even Landry's favorite episode of season 1, End of the World. They talk about so many humans, so little time. You know.
Yeah. I have to go ahead and say my choice for this though. And I really wanted to do Haunting, but I couldn't because Jimmy, you remember that we had a little bet, right? And I won, but I still went ahead and
didn't win. You didn't win.
I did win. I did
no.
win. The Doctor came back as another Doctor. It wasn't just 10 again. It was what was it?
It was 10 again.
What was it? 14. He's 14.
Yeah, technically he's 14, but he came back and was like, I know these kids.
Whatever.
Why did this face come back?
Anyway, I went ahead and rewatched The Woman Who Fell to Earth. There is one problem, and that is honestly Ryan's cringy YouTube videos. But other than that, it is a really solid start. Like the Doctor makes her own sonic screwdriver. She goes ahead and she's dealing with my TARDIS is missing, and it sets up so many cool things that isn't followed upon. But The Woman Who Fell to Earth is really a solid episode. It is a good Doctor Who episode. I think I ranked it a 9 out of 10 whenever I rewatched it.
You're fucking stupid.
I'm not.
No, it was.
Watch it again.
It had a lot of promise. It had a lot of promise that just the reason why it's just not very little out, and none of it was delivered upon. That's what it was. It just wasn't delivered upon. It was a great start.
That's literally her entire run.
Oh, that's all, I agree. No, I think that's what I think the point Pixel is making is that it was a good start. It just didn't go anywhere.
It would have been a brilliant start to a brilliant era of Doctor Who, but it wasn't. It was a brilliant start to death, doom, destruction. Jimmy, your favorite 13th Doctor episode?
There was a lot of promise in season 1. I will have to agree, even though it makes me upset that I'm agreeing. That episode where Graham gets to see his wife again in that dream world ish. I thought the villain of the entire season, because of that episode, was going to be the Dream Lord or the Master of Games or the Trickster. I was wrong. It was just a fucking stupid episode at the end of it. Although he did get closure, so that made me happy.
What is it? It takes you
away. What?
Is it? It takes you away? Is that the one?
Something like that, yeah.
With the frog in the chair?
Yeah, the frog.
Oh God, I want to die.
I thought that was going to be like the Trickster, but no. But overall, I have to get Flux. It for me is.
I need you to get I know we said Trial of a Time Lord, but Flux itself goes ahead and you have a specific episode. You know you want to say it.
I do. Flux for me is really good, except for the very last episode. There was a lot of promise. Chris Chibnall does deliver a lot, but not overall. But in Flux entirely, War of the Centaurans is so good. Pixel, don't even start. We can go back and watch your reviews. I saw that face. War of the Centaurans is so good. For me, it's the best Centauran episode since Time Warrior. It is so good. It establishes the Centaurans as an actual threat, also as viable creatures of what they truly are, not fucking midget potatoes. No, these are warriors from the future who are clones bred to wreak havoc across the galaxy and universe because of war. That is why War of the Centaurans is so good.
It is like the Dark Knight. It is the Dark Knight Returns of Doctor Who for Centaurans, because it does give them the balls back. So I will give you that.
Yeah. I mean, give me that. Also, it brought back, was it Jonathan Starkey who played this?
Dan Starkey. Dan Starkey had been there since he was playing Strax, though.
Yeah. And, like, that was so good because it was a familiar face, familiar voice of Centaurans. So it's not like it entirely departed. It just brought back what they look like, their more importantly, their height, because they were basically midgets. Like, they're 4'4" with David Tennant, and now they're really tall, muscular-ish, and it was really good. And I do like the fact that they went back in time with it to make it like a timepiece. With instead of Russia, it was Centaur. Very intriguing. I like that.
Jervain.
14.
14. You have 3
You know
episodes.
what? Initially, I had Star Beast because I think it was a good introduction episode. I like Wilf coming in towards the end and all that, and just the cliffhanger of everything was just out of sorts. But I'm gonna have to go with Jimmy on this one. It's definitely Wild Blue Yonder.
That's actually at the end of Wild Blue Yonder.
Oh, that is that. Okay, so I'm sorry. I think it's Wild Blue Yonder then. Wild Blue Yonder is
even better.
Yeah, it's actually the one, because again, it's like that horror feel to it, that whole thing of the clones and just this evil doctor and evil Donna trying to possess and or take out the other two, want to know what the TARDIS is. Again, it's like that whole thing of walking into an environment, not quite knowing what's going on, realizing you've walked into basically a death trap almost. And it's just the idea of them just surviving the situation, and also the stakes of it. Like they're really having to wrestle with introducing this great evil into the universe. The whole thing of flying beyond, I think what it was, they went beyond what pretty much time and space was. It was a very creepy episode. There was some high stakes there, and like the tension throughout it was great. So yeah, Jimmy's right. It's Wild Blue Yonder. Yeah, that was the best one for 14.
So, for me, it's Wild Blue Yonder too. Listen, I was trying to, like, Star Beast is really good. I really, really like it. I actually really like the giggle too. The bi-generation. But Wild Blue Yonder goes ahead and it brings us back into an episode of Doctor Who that you don't need anything else. I mean, the end does go ahead and set up the giggle, so that's like a weak note of it's not actually an ending, but that adventure on that space station ends, and that's enough. The creature, the no things, fantastic in concept, and then the ominous groan and the salt at the edge of the universe. All these little bits that go ahead and set up that you know you're going to feel. I liked all of that.
Yeah, but you're right, Pixel. It is like it could be just a straight up Dr. Donna episode from the original run with 10. You could plunk it in there and it would just been a great story. So yeah,
Not only that, like, if you think about it, in my opinion, this will go down as like one of the all-time classic episodes. Yeah. It was so good from the beginning to the end, where they even brought in Isaac Newton to foreshadow. What's her name? Penny something.
Oh, you mean Susan?
The trickster.
What?
She's basically the trickster.
No. Oh, you mean Susan Triad?
Yeah, Susan Triad.
They set her up there.
Yeah, so they set her up in that because it wasn't really about Isaac Newton. It was more about the maid of Isaac Newton because she was throughout time, whatever. and they changed Mavity. It was really they changed it gravity to Mavity. It was very fun. And then they arrive on a ship, which was the first also precursor to Sutek with the groans and all that. And then they're on a ship in the middle of nowhere. Absolute nothing was there. No light has reached this place from a star. It was darkness with nothing. For me, this was Alien and Event Horizon met Doctor Who.
That's good. That's good.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, right, Jermaine? It was like
you're right.
It was
that's good.
Yeah, it was the best of both worlds in that. And that whole scene was like, if you just have clones, right? If it was just a clone of Donna, just a clone, whatever. But the catchphrase of "my arms are too long,"
yep,
makes them 20 times scarier.
Yep.
You have a long hallway. You're walking. It feels like forever. And then there's a random robot that takes one step every day. It's so long. And then that loud bang. You don't know what it is until the end. And you find out it's the pilot who's dead, who gave up their life so that these no things can go to Earth or anywhere else and kill so good all the way through.
It has echoes of probably every sci-fi / horror film you could think of, even something like 2001.
Yes.
Yeah, it's you're right. Yep.
Yeah.
And to top it off, you end the episode where they went before that, where they go to the pilot place, whatever, where the captain's chair. They open up the windows and it's darkness. And then they have that camera going around, the drone that's flying around. That showed the budget that Disney Plus gave them in one of the most beautiful cinematography scenes in Doctor Who history with just that scene alone. So beautiful. And then to end that episode off with you brought back Wilfred Mott.
Mm-hmm.
The best character in Doctor Who other than the Doctor, Wilfred Mott. No one hates Wilfred. No one dislikes Wilfred. Everyone loves Wilfred. Makes that so powerful. This episode will go down as one of the greats.
Yeah.
Although I do like the giggle with that, specifically that scene with, well, that's all right then. That is a huge scene also for the Doctor. It's a powerful scene for the Doctor because he's like, these people aren't dead. There's, whatever. And he goes, well, that's all right then. That puts the Doctor in his place, and it's great.
So you're saying that you really do like the giggle, but you still prefer you prefer Wild Blue Yonder, but you still like the giggle because of that a little bit.
Yeah.
That's all right then.
Well, this goes. I mean, this is what I think when you're talking about Doctor Who. It's like what makes the Doctor such a great character is that it's really this thing of, it's like he's a great force for good, but there's still this thing of like, it's almost like he's a god, but he's a very god with human tendencies. It's like it's like if the Doctor showed up in your backyard, it's like, yeah, man, I want to go. But it's almost like, but there's just this danger to it. It's like, and people walk, it's almost like, I don't know how familiar you guys are with Batman, but it's like with Batman and the sidekicks, sometimes they make the argument that, it's great to be with Batman, you get to fight just crime and against justice, fight for justice, fight against crime and evil, but there's a price to be paid. And I think a lot of times what happens is, what's kind of scary about the Doctor is, it's like, he's like, hey, look, we could take a journey to everywhere, but he never gives you the disclaimer when he does it. He never gives you, when you walk into the TARDIS, he never gives you the disclaimer when he does it. You just find out. Go ahead.
I will say that leads to what there are a lot of people speculating. That's what this whole thing with gods and all being going ahead and bringing that up. the reason why Sutek is the god of death for them now is that they have it that the doctor is supposed to represent life. He's supposed to basically be in this new pantheon the god of life. Wherever he comes, he saves the day. He lets the living keep living. He faces the problem that
I have a problem with that because that's the whole reason behind the wedding of River Song, where they're like, everywhere you go, death follows. That's why our word for soldier is doctor.
Yep.
Well, that makes sense because death was literally following on the top of the TARDIS through time and space. No, sorry, I'll never.
I think, and that's why I kind of don't like that idea of it, because I think that kind of takes away from there's nothing wrong with that, because that's what life is. Look, you don't get to enjoy all the great things that life can bring you and life can offer you if you don't take that risk. There's going to be a price you're going to pay to enjoy the things that you want to enjoy. There's going to be a cost to it. I just think that a lot of times it's like, that whole thing of I forget what the name of that character is that Neil Patrick Harris plays. I should remember.
The
Toy Maker. Well, it's like he's trying to twist it. So in other words, he's trying to undermine something about the Doctor that is a reality of dealing with him. It's not.
No, that's a good point, because that's a very good point, because what are the best lies? Exactly. The best lies have a hint, have like a little bit of truth in it.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
This is why Gervain is part of the show. This is why we bring him in. He's so smart and so right a lot of the time.
But that's what
I'm sorry.
But that's what it is. It's like you just have to understand anything that you do that's going to be worth something, you're going to pay a cost for it. And I think the only thing and I think even the Doctor himself recognizes it, because sometimes when he's talking to people about it, he's kind of like, it's like the companion said, well, what happened to the last one? And it's kind of like, well, if I tell you, you might not want to. You might want to jump off the TARDIS right now. And that's what we're talking about, the girl who waited. See, that's what about the girl who waited, and that's what Rory was just now. He was kind of making Rory's point. It's just like now you don't even have the guts or the balls to face what you do to people.
Is that also why the 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, never revealed fucking anything to Yaz or her crew?
I believe so.
I think it's just because Chibnall didn't care about it.
But like Gervain brings up a good point. That is like a good reason. The Doctor, anytime he revealed anything about himself, anytime the Doctor showed the truth behind his travels, people kind of left.
Yeah, well, that's what happened with Martha.
Yeah, and the Water of Mars. He revealed it to 3 different people who survived the water, and they all left.
Well, Water of Mars is worse because she ain't just leave.
She killed herself.
One woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do feel like with all the talk about that, gods and stuff, we should go ahead and address 15th Doctor. His new season. What is the one episode? The one episode you could go ahead and say.
Yeah, it was Dot and Bubble for all the reasons that have been laid out before. Again, it's like I agree with Landry. It was the one where I think we all agree this is a dynamic of being a Who fan when new Doctors come on. You're waiting for the episode when you can say, okay, this is the Doctor. If not my Doctor, you can say this is the Doctor. I think, again, that scene that Landry referenced, let me save you. I know you hate me. I know.
No, I referenced that.
Then Jimmy referenced that. Yeah, it's the idea of just let me save you. You don't have to agree with me. Matter of fact, I don't even think I like you right now. But just let me save you. There's somebody who basically set somebody else to basically get killed who did try to save her early in the episode. But the thing is, it's the idea that the Doctor just he does see that everybody can be redeemed. Everybody can be redeemed if they would just make a decision.
Not just that, not just redeemed. Everyone has value.
Everyone has value. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. Yep, everyone has value.
You're right. That is like a huge
But
thing.
yeah, definitely Dot and Boom.
Mine's Boom.
I
love
of Stephen Moffat.
Well, Moffat wrote a great episode. The doctor he's trapped. He's stuck on a landmine for that. And
if you put any doctor in his place, it would be an average episode.
But
I'm sorry. If you put any doctor besides a 6, 7, or 5, it would be an average episode.
Do you think 11 is going to stay on that landmine very well?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
No, when we reviewed it, you said the opposite. You said exactly the opposite, that you couldn't picture 11 standing there. Specifically.
I think he could. Wait,
Well, why wouldn't 11 stand? I wasn't there for that one, so why wouldn't 11 stand?
No, 11. No, I changed. If I did say that, I don't remember me saying that. If I did say that, I changed my mind because when he had that 1,000-yard stare, when he had that moment at the end of the 11th hour where he goes, "I'm the doctor," when he had that moment with every villain he came across in season 5, I think he could. When it came down to it, he could.
But it wasn't a threat. Like the threat itself was this invisible war. They were gone ahead. The church was fighting absolutely nothing. It was all smokescreen, and they had gotten to a point that they were so lost in it, capitalism and war, that they didn't know, and that led to some terrible things happening. But the doctor, in the end, he does save the day, saves his companion, and it is still, I still think it's a really solid episode for 15. If you're right, any doctor could be there, but it's still a fantastic episode, just in general. But it was in 50s era, so.
And it's like literally the fog of war. It's like literally they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jimmy, your choice.
My favorite is the one with Jinx Monsoon, The Devil's Cord.
That's fair.
Okay, that's good. Yep.
Such a good episode. Not only because like it introduced a fantastic new villain of what was it? The Maestro.
The Maestro.
This was one where it brought back the homage to the invasion, the Daleks' invasion of London. Of like, this is what's going to happen if we leave now. This puts Ruby in her place of like, yeah, we've been on a couple adventures. Why don't we just leave and go to the future? I know it doesn't matter because of like, I'm from the future. He goes, no, if we leave now, it will end. Nothing will happen. And then it's the Beatles episode. The Beatles are the greatest band who ever lived. They're not my favorite. The greatest, but they are the greatest band who ever lived. They were only together for 6 years, and look what they created. And then when you take away music from the world, what happens? We get Tories who are fucking crazy. The Tories in the UK. They're crazy by themselves. But when you take away art from them, take away art from the world, art from the people who don't agree with them, they fall in line. They just listen to what's happening. They don't care. They like the mundane. They like nothing. They like conservative values. Like some conservative values are fine, but like all of them? Are you kidding me? No.
Let me ask this question.
Why did you start? Where did you get anything to start talking about Tory? Like, I'm not saying, but like, where did that come? They didn't say anything about politics. They said everyone was against each other because they had no expression. They had no
Tories in the 1960s with the Beatles, and then the Rolling Stones. They wanted to arrest the Rolling Stones because they thought the Rolling Stones were devil worshippers. They thought they worshipped the devil. They thought not only that, they thought that rock and roll was of the devil and bad music. They represented rebellion or rebellious actions for teenagers. They thought all that stuff.
Okay, that's why absolutely nothing to do with this episode. I hear you, but it has nothing to do with the Devil's Cord.
I think they 100% does. When you take away art from the world, what do you get? You get mundane.
You get death and destruction because nobody can express.
You don't get progressive. You get nothing. You don't think through things. You think of what has been, and that's it.
Political lens where there wasn't any. That's
100% there has. That's why it was all fucking gray, blue, nothing.
In the episode, I'm talking specifically the episode.
Specifically the episode when John and Paul were talking to the Doctor and Ruby, they said music has always been this. Why would we change it?
Yeah, that isn't enforced by the government or anything. I just don't.
I didn't say it was. I just said that's conservative values. Yeah, that's where I disagree. We can disagree on that. But that scene where there's no music in the world, no beautiful art in the world, what do we get? The Doctor goes, Ruby, I know you've played piano. Just play. Just play. And then when she does, people start crying. That old man who's conservative, before he gets mad, just starts he listens.
Jimmy, they aren't. There's nothing about their politics. No, there's no saying that man was a conservative.
I feel like that's
the conservative archetype. Is that old man?
For a great episode where we have Pixel and Jimmy debate. Landry, Chris, Joe, and I will serve as the panel.
I feel like we must, because he has added a political lens where there was none.
That is where I will disagree. I won't bring it up again.
We can do Terrence Howard, Eric Weinstein like ratings on this one.
I won't.
This is a great episode. I agree with you that it's a great episode. But you're suddenly claiming that this man that was just talking to the doctor that was totally fine. That old woman who was over there, they're all fine.
Pixel, you're missing the point. Jimmy's talking about the linchpin, though. He's talking about the linchpin.
He's saying that all these people are now conservative when there's no saying that.
I didn't say all these people. I said one person, but the what's it called? The theme of it was conservative. Yeah.
Where do you get that? There's nothing. There is literally an episode in this season that focuses on a candidate that is going to be the worst prime minister.
Only one? I disagree. There's more than one.
That's a political episode. This has nothing to do with politics. The Devil's Court has nothing to do.
I disagree. I don't think you're reading into the episode. This is fucking Russell T. Davies. All he does is write liberal stuff.
There's no... Okay, I hear what you're saying, but you are applying it to an episode that has nothing to do with anything political.
I disagree. I think it has a lot to do with political politics.
So I would ask one question. Now, one scene that Jimmy references, what I did like is the fact that Ruby, basically, they go into the future to see what happens if they don't address the situation in the past. Mm-hmm. Is this the first time that a companion kind of gets an idea that of the stakes involved with traveling a doctor, that is not just about like kind of like really interesting, we're going to go on this tour of the universe through time and space thing, where it's like, no, there is some, like, because it's been referenced in the past, like the TARDIS kind of takes them where they need to go. Like there's that subtle,
Pyramids of Mars. That scene is pretty much ripped from it, where they go ahead. Where they go, yes, literally. He takes, because Sarah Jane says, okay, but the world can't end in 1911. I know it doesn't end. I'm not from 1911.
No, I agree with that part. But when he said, when a companion fully realizes the aspect of what's happening.
Yes, because Sarah Jane, after she's shown that horrible world, she's like, we have to go back. We have to do this. We have no choice.
She doesn't say that.
She says something to that effect. Sarah Jane says, we have to go back.
She more realizes, says something to the fact of like, all right, I understand.
I mean, that's... But
like the full aspect of it, no.
I mean...
I would argue like what Jervain said in series 1 with Father and Father's Day.
God, I couldn't stand Rose.
I mean, you don't have to fucking stand her.
I know. I get that. We reviewed it here on the channel. You would have known if you were here.
I was here. That episode I did like. I just didn't like the aliens, monsters that were the cause of time. I didn't like that part, but I did like the effects of it. Yeah.
So, okay. Well,
But I have to say the Devil's Chord. Not only that, the ending where it goes, where he's fighting the Maestro, and the Maestro is like all of time. I mean, not all of time. All of art and music is gone, and this is a Beatles episode. To solve it, guess who came along and helped win? Paul McCartney and John Lennon. Probably the best musicians who ever lived. They're not my favorite, but possibly the best musicians who ever lived. They were the ones who solved the Devil's Chord. And they stuck to the theme of the Beatles episode, and then ending it, even past that, what happens when all of the music is gone from the world? What happens? There's a music number. The Doctor comes along with Ruby, and they go, "We won, but the music's still gone. We have to record everything." They have a musical number, and bring back all the music that was lost.
That is literally
that's basically what happened. Even though I don't like the music that they did,
balls right now.
Even though I don't like what they did, that's what the Doctor did. He came back and brought back all the music that was lost, brought back all the people. That's kind of what happened, but in a musical number, and that's why this episode is so good.
Jimmy, you got ahead and you said that apparently it's the Tories that are taking all the music away when it was the Maestro, but okay. And then you say that always a twist at the end was bringing all the music back to creation? What are you talking about?
That was...
Do you think do you think that there wasn't music before the Beatles?
No, I think there was. But that was like a small scene that represented him bringing it back.
No. In fact, I think there's commentary where the Doctor where RTD explains that musical number is just the Maestro's energy still affecting the mortal plane, and that's what makes everyone involved in that musical number. But that's not in the episode. There's no explanation in the episode. So you've gone ahead and said that this is bringing music back to creation. If that's the song to bring all music back into creation, music isn't coming back. It died.
I still disagree. It's not my favorite song, but yeah, that's what they use to represent music coming back.
I don't know how I agree. This is a fantastic episode. I understand why you chose it. And then you say everything wrong. How can you be right and wrong at the same time? I wish Landry was here right now.
No, Sean is right. The chord played by John and Paul is the chord that seals me. Yes, I agree.
No, that happens. Yes.
What did I say that was wrong? I said they came and solved the problem, and this was a Beatles episode. Yes, that's what happened.
That thing happened, but you said afterwards that whole musical number was bringing music back to creation.
Yes.
There's always a twist at the end.
Yes.
Okay.
Not only that, they brought back color and life. That's why it was from a blue to darkish gray color hue of the world, and it was more bright, colorful, and stuff like that. Yeah. What do you think it was representing?
Sealing Maestro brought back. No, I get that, Sean. Absolutely.
No. Sealing Maestro only sealed Maestro away from the world. He brought back the music himself with other people.
Jimmy, that musical number is just a bad musical number added on for fun.
I disagree.
Music back to all of creation. You can disagree, just like you can disagree that there's absolutely a political lens on an episode that's just dealing with music. This is not.
There's 100% a political lens through this episode.
What's the name of the movie? Not Dirty Dancing.
Footloose?
Footloose. Yes.
Yeah.
With the priest. This isn't that.
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, this isn't that. I don't know where you're seeing that. I don't know what. Maybe you had both that movie and this on at the same time, but there's nothing like that.
I don't think you understand British politics. Yeah, there's 100%.
Okay, I was actually on the fence with this one, but now that you made the Footloose reference, I would have to watch Footloose again, but that might open the door for Jimmy on that one. No. But I'd have to watch Footloose again, though. I get what you're saying, Pixel. Like, it's not explicit. I think the argument Jimmy is making that it's implicit, but I'll take your point, Pixel, but that's a reaching for implicit.
No. I'm not saying it's a reaching point. I'm not saying it's an explicit. I'm not saying it's an explicit point. I'm saying it's a subvert plot point. Subverted.
Yeah, you're saying that's a subversive element of the story.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Yeah,
anyway,
I think you guys have planted for a great debate. Great Norman Mailer versus Gore Vidal debate.
Have you watched Russell's show? The one fucking with Trump doing a nuclear bomb. It's called it's with the guy who plays Alonzo and
let's finish this up because we're over 2 hours.
Yeah.
My list: First Doctor, Chase; Second Doctor, War Games; Third Doctor, 3 Doctors; Fourth Doctor, Pyramid of Mars; Fifth Doctor, The 5 Doctors; 6, Trial of a Time Lord / The Ultimate Foe; 7, Remembrance of the Daleks; 8 only has a movie, guys. I'm sorry. 9, Dalek; 10, Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead; 11, The Doctor's Wife; 12, Heaven Sent, Hellbent; 13, The Woman Who Fell to Earth; 14, Wild Blue Yonder; and 15, Boom.
My favorite episode is The Devil's Court, but out of the entire season, the best scene in all of Nshuti's Gatwa's show, his run so far, his season as Doctor. The best scene in it is from Dot and Bubble, where he goes, "Let me save you." That is so good because it's not only for me. That's when Ncuti became the Doctor. That is for me when he went, "I don't care if you hate me. Please let me save you." So, that is such a Doctor scene. That's such a Doctor thing to do. I don't care what anyone said. For me, that is the episode. That is the scene where Ncuti became the Doctor. And also, it showed a little bit of that 1,000-yard stare when he was so pissed off, so mad, where they said, "I'm not going to let you save me because you're different. You look different than me." He just wanted to save them anyways. I love that scene. But for me, The Devil's Court, with that piano scene with Ruby and those people who live there, were like, "Oh my God, music. Like good music, beautiful art." That's the best part.
I'm not a Tory anymore. Okay. Jermaine.
You're so good.
So, First Doctor, The Aztecs; Second Doctor, The Tomb of the Cybermen; Third Doctor, Inferno; Fourth Doctor, The Key to Time, season 16, or the Invasion of Time / Invasion of Time. Fifth Doctor, Earthshock; Sixth Doctor, with Pixel, Trial of a Time Lord / The Ultimate Foe; 7th Doctor, Remembrance of the Daleks. 8th Doctor, The Night of the Doctor. 9th Doctor, Father's Day. 10th Doctor, Blink. 11th Doctor, A Good Man Goes to War. 12th Doctor, Dark Water. 13th Doctor, Eve of the Daleks. 14th Doctor, Wild Blue Yonder. 15th Doctor,
Jimmy, do you have your list or
No, but I remember.
okay.
First Doctor. Shit. Second Doctor. Second Doctor.
Tomb.
Tomb of the Cybermen. Third Doctor, Time Warrior. Fourth Doctor, City of Death. Fifth Doctor, Resurrection of the Daleks. Sixth Doctor, the regeneration episode, the last episode of Trial of Time Lord because he sucks.
Regenerated that episode.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot. So he sucks. The Seventh Doctor, which
Curse of Fenric.
Curse of Fenric, thank you. Eighth Doctor, which was I didn't say because I got skipped.
Well, I skipped overall. I didn't hear Jane say Night of the Doctor. Actually,
it was not Night of the Doctor for me. It was no Stranded from Big Finish. Stranded the first
Gotcha.
pack. So the first 3 episodes that was fantastic. Ninth Doctor, which was Parting of the Ways because of that ending where he goes coward any day. 10th Doctor, Human Nature, Family. Wait, is that what I said? No, Water of Mars. Water of Mars.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it was between those two. It was a hard choice. The 11th Doctor, Vincent and the Daleks. God damn it, Vincent and the Doctor.
Vincent and the Daleks.
That would have been a crazy episode.
No, Vincent and the Daleks.
Vincent and the Doctor. Fantastic episode. In my opinion, the best episode of Doctor Who ever. It was 11, 12. So Peter Capaldi. Listen. Am I a Good Man? I love that. His first fucking 4 episodes are fantastic. 13th Doctor, War of the Centaurans. 14th, Wild Blue Yonder. 15th, Devil's Court.
Okay.
Pixel?
That is, I already gave my list. So that's it. We want to ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. This is a long one. We'll be back next week for Madmen in a Box. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again real soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.